95% of your life is coming from observing the other people. And so your behavior isn't yours. How do we change these behaviors? I go, first of all, you don't even know what the behaviors are because you weren't there when they were being programmed. What did you learn when you were in utero? What did you learn during the year from 0 to 1? What did you learn from 1 to 2? And I'm saying your conscious mind wasn't working at that time. So whatever happened, it's not in your conscious mind. And still the significance about all this is profound because you don't know your program. 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your programs. You don't have to go backwards in your life. You could just say, where am I today? And here's a simple point. So all of you out there, ready? The things that you like that come into your life, they come in because you have programs to acknowledge them. But the things you want, the things you desire, and you have to work hard. Why are you working so hard? The answer is whatever that destination you were trying to get to, your subconscious program does not support that destination. And that's why your conscious mind is working so hard to get there. So I say you got programs and you got them before you even knew you were being programmed. We have to identify those programs because if you want to change your life and you want to make it one that has wishes and desires, then you have to assess what are your programs now so that you can then change those programs and create the life you want.
Need motivation?
Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because I need them, because I want to wake up every single day and get pushed by somebody who's doing a lot more than me. And in watching their videos, it inspires me to be bolder, to have more courage, and to go chase down the life of my dreams. And I hope it does the same for you. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Bruce Lipton, and my take on his top 50 rules of success. Enjoy.
There's an old phrase I read that is just a stock phrase of the world because it's truism. It says, knowledge is power. And everyone goes, oh yeah, knowledge is power, blah, 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 blah. And I go, no. Let me say it in a way that might be relevant to us now. I say, a lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And I say, we have been deprived of knowledge of who we really are. How powerful we are, because all the knowledge we get in growing up is how weak we are, how vulnerable. Oh my God, viruses are coming, parasites are coming, blah, 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 blah. Everything's falling apart. And I go, well, that's not true. It is true if you don't recognize your power. And I say, well, what power? And I go, well, one of the first things that disempowered us was the belief that genes control our life. Oh, why does that disempower us? I go, well, simple point. It says that as far as you know, you didn't pick the genes you came with. If you don't like your characteristics, you can't change the genes you came with. And then I add this little last one, the creepy one that says, well, the genes turn on and off by themselves without you. And I go, then why is this relevant? Well, if the genes are controlling my life and they're turning on and off without me, I am, definition, a victim of my heredity. Oh, there's heart disease running in my family. Oh, I'm going to get it. Cancer. Oh, I'm going to get the cancer. It's running in my genes. I go, that's a bunch of BS. Oh, that means belief system. That's a bunch of why is that relevant? And I say, because the idea that genes turn on and off by themselves is the biggest false story that you bought into, which took away your power because it says genes control you, you don't control your genes. And that's why you look at your fate is what genes did my mom and dad give me because my future is going to be determined. And I go, completely false. Genes cannot turn on and off. And I go, we've been programmed. Gene turned on. Cancer gene turned on. Gave me cancer. I go, no. A gene is a blueprint to make a protein. And I go, okay, let's unpack that. I go, the body that you see in the mirror, look on the screen, see yourself, all that. And I go, that is made out of protein building blocks. There are about 100,000 different protein types that come together, assemble them together, and I make a muscle cell out of some proteins, make a brain cell out of some other different proteins. So if I, try to tell the audience, I say, well, proteins are like Lego kit, Lego parts. You got 100,000 different pieces, different shaped pieces. And I say, how you assemble the Lego can create a muscle cell, or how you assemble them can create a brain cell, a skin cell. And I go, so the point about it is this, proteins are the building blocks, but proteins break down. So you have to replace them. But I go, oh, they're very complex molecules. And I go, where do we get the proteins when they break down? I go, we have DNA. I say, what's that? It's a blueprint on how to make a protein. I go, so what? I go, it's a blueprint. I go, so? I go, this is the story I always say. So you go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint. And I say, lean over her shoulder and go, hey, tell me, is your blueprint on or off? And she would look at me and go, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. It's a blueprint. And I go, aha, you're finally going to get it. A gene is a blueprint. It does not turn itself on and off. It doesn't know what it does. It doesn't know why it's needed. It has no knowledge other than how to make a protein. And I go, but you gave power to the genes. That's what we did. Oh, the genes control me. And I go, no. It's like the architect story. There's a blueprint. Blueprint doesn't work by itself, but it works with an architect who can read the blueprint and even modify the blueprint. And I go, oh, well, if the genes are the blueprint, then who's the architect? I go, our consciousness is ultimately translated into chemistry that goes into the blood. And that chemistry is what controls our genes. It's time for us to wake up and recognize that there's a program being played out here. We're in a Darwinian program because everyone accepts that as, oh, that's the science, even though Darwinian theory is wrong, because evolution isn't on competition. Evolution is cooperation. That's the new insight that changes the game of struggle into harmony when we start to recognize we all have been programmed with a belief that if you're not out there fighting, somebody's going to walk all over you and you lose. So you better go out there and struggle and win and fight and all that. And I go, again, a garden is not a battleground. It's the height of cooperation and harmony. And what we have to do is let go. And the idea is the more you invest in the existing program, the more consciousness you feed that existing program, the more you broadcast the pattern of that existing program. And the only way out is stop. Does that mean I don't read the news? Well, actually, I don't read it. I just read the damn headlines, and that's enough for me to go, okay, I don't want to be there. I live in a different world. No, I'm in the same world as you. No, but I live in a different world. Why? Well, sometimes we have to recognize maybe it's time to take your power back. Maybe it's time to take your job back and do something that is more in harmony with your life. I mean, I was a tenured professor in a medical school, but when I realized I was teaching incorrect information that genes control life, which is totally false, I said, no, I can't do this anymore. And the beautiful part about it is, guess what? I'm living this most wonderful life. And I go, how did I do that? I said, I had to let go of the programs that I knew I was engaged in that didn't offer vitality, life, energy, love. If they didn't offer it, then get the hell off of it because it sucks your energy. Energy is life. I talk about what's called an energy checkbook. And I go, what's that? I go, you have a bank account. That's the money in there is your life. I go, yeah, it is. I go, you just don't write checks for nothing. Hey, oh, Lynn, what a beautiful blue sweater you have here. Let me give you $20. That was really nice. You know, you don't do something like that. And I say, we have been giving away our energy so much with no return coming back. I go, what do you mean? I say, well, you get into some like a political argument between people and they get all heated up and they use all this energy. And I said, and after the argument, what changed? Nothing. I said, then what the heck? Energy is life. You just gave away your energy. You're losing life. And that's when all of a sudden I realized, invest your energy into things that either enhance your vitality or the vitality of the world in which we're living. Because those are places to build a better world. To invest your energy in the negative things and all that kind of stuff like that, you're building a bad world with that. And you're using your own energy, your life gets shortened. And so the reality is consciousness is real. It's a currency. And if you use it and spend it appropriately, you can have a much better life. Negative beliefs are equally powerful in controlling your health as are positive beliefs, except in the opposite direction. A positive belief can heal you from any disease. A negative belief can kill you by creating any disease. A belief can create the disease as much as a belief can create the healing. And I go, so the significance of this is profound because nobody talks about the negative belief. And I go, negative beliefs are powerful. It's called nocebo, as you mentioned. And as I said, they can cause any disease and they can kill you. Just because you believe you're going to die, you can die just from the belief. Just as much as you are dying of a cancer, you change your belief and you can then heal the cancer. I go, how? I love this because a friend of mine, her name is Anita Morjani, and she wrote a book called Dying to Be Me. She had 4 years of cancer. In the final days of her life, in the final week, she was so emaciated that the cancer lumps were sticking out of her skin because she lost so much body weight, and the cancer lumps were sticking out. She's on a machine for life support. She goes into a coma, and her oncologist, who's been working with cancer patients for years, says, oh, this is the final stage of a person before they die. So get in touch with all the family members and say, Anita is dying. She's in a coma. This is a sign that's the end of her life. And she has an out-of-body experience, a consciousness change, that the issues that were related to her life had to do with a lot of the fact that she was so feeling guilty of upsetting her family. She came from an Indian family with prearranged marriages. And she pulled out of a prearranged marriage about 3 days before the wedding, which made her family look like, low-class people. It's like, you broke a prearranged marriage. That's like against the rules and everything. That irritated her father, who she had a lot of love, but then that irritated her father, and then she felt she's now alienated from that love. That's what precipitated the cancer. Her out-of-body experience on the last day of her life, according to her oncologist, she had an out-of-body experience of communicating with her dead father, who said, no, what happened on earth stays on earth. When you transcend, you're not there anymore, and everything's wonderful, and we love you, and all that. She comes out of the coma, and the first thing she says, I want to eat something. She was like, give me some ice cream. And she was like, what? Within a day, she was off the machines. Within a week to 2 weeks, there was no visible cancer anymore. And in fact, the doctors were saying, it's in there somewhere. And she kept saying, no, there's no more cancer. And they kept looking. And after a couple of more weeks of looking, they said, no, she doesn't have any sign of cancer. She was on her last day of life with cancer. And a belief change, that she realized her father is not angry with her. She didn't alienate the love of her family. And that thought, when she woke up out of the coma, was the placebo, in a sense, of the healing thought that healed her from her last day of life. So people with cancer, and they're all struggling, I go, even to the very last day, the moment you change that consciousness is the moment you can have the cancer go into remission and disappear. Killing the cancer cells is like, oh, I'm going to get those evil cells out. I said, the cells were just following the instructions that came from your consciousness. You don't want evil cells, then change the evil thoughts coming from your consciousness. The cancer disappears. So it's a power that we have. It's a power of our creativity, which we don't believe in. And I go, okay, quantum physics is the most valid, truthful science in the sense that the theoretical understanding of quantum physics matches every experiment that has been understood about it. I go, well, let me tell you the first principle of quantum physics. That principle is consciousness is creating our life experiences. You want to change your life experiences? Don't change the world. Change the consciousness. The world will change behind that. Hi, I'm Bruce Lipton, author of the best-selling books, The Biology of Belief, Spontaneous Evolution, and The Honeymoon Effect. I'm here to thank Evan Carmichael for featuring me on his YouTube channel, and I want to let you know that Evan is giving away links where you can watch the first episodes of my special Gaia series entitled Inner Evolution for free. Evan is making this offer to thank you for watching this video. You will find the links in the description section below. Thank you. People have heard of the phrase, use it or lose it. And frequently they're referring to, oh, well, I can build up my muscles through exercise and I'm using them. But if I stop using my muscles, then they disappear. And I go, use it or lose it applies to every system in the human body. Every system is based on use or lose it. And most importantly, the creative aspect of a child is when they were in child development. That's what kids do. They create ideas, they play, and through play, they are being very creative. But if we are doing what we're doing now, and that is programming them with STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, I say those courses are not creative. Those courses are rote memorization. Can you memorize the equation? Can you memorize this? And I go, if what has happened is our education has taken the creative part out because of finances. Oh yeah. Years ago when I went to school, we had great courses. We had shop for the guys or buddy who want to learn how to fix and make things, home ec. We had music, we had art. These were programs, and most of those have been sacrificed in budgetary reasons to provide more STEM. And I say, then what have you thrown out of the education? I said, the creative part of a child's education has now been transferred to the rote memorization of science, technology, and engineering. And I say, and the result is this: we are not as creative as a population. Not that long ago, it is long ago because I'm old, but the U.S. was the leader in technology because we had the best education system that provided creativity for the kids to move into the future. Today, the U.S. is somewhere near the bottom of Western countries in regard to technology. Why? We've lost our creative character. Use it or lose it. We've lost it. And this is a wake-up call. Giving children back the exercises of creativity, because that's what engages those brain cells. And if you don't engage those brain cells, then they don't develop, and use it or lose it applies. The most important thing about transcending a program, as I mentioned before, is identifying what the program is. And that's why I wanted to give people an insight to their own programming by just reviewing their life and recognizing things you like come in because you have a program. Things you desire that don't come in is because you have a program that doesn't support that. And I said, well, how do you change these programs? And I said, there's 3 fundamental ways to change a program. And it's very critical because the subconscious mind is a habit mind. The conscious mind is a creative mind. And I go, what's the difference? I say, habit, by definition, doesn't want to change. I mean, if a habit changes, then it's not a habit anymore. So I say, first issue is this: the programs that we were downloaded with are habits. They were put into our mind before age 7. And then we just play them like a push the button, play the program, push the button, play the program. Now, not all habits are bad. As a matter of fact, you wouldn't like it without a subconscious. I'll give you an example. When did you learn how to walk? You learned how to walk before you were 2. You could be 102. You're still walking. I go, why? That habit is there and it doesn't change. So the first thing we have to recognize, habits are not like open, hey, just change me. You actually have to like push a record button to get into that habit. I go, well, how do you get a habit? I said, well, how did we get a habit in our life? I said, for the first 7 years, we were in a state of consciousness called theta, which is hypnosis, and we downloaded it. And the relevance about that is theta is a lower vibration than conscious, which is alpha, and focus consciousness, beta. And I go, so why is it relevant? Because when we are working, like right now, we're in beta, high focus, consciousness, schoolroom kind of working like that. But when we go home and relax, the vibration slows down. That's called alpha. So we're in a calmer consciousness. But what people have to recognize is this: the moment you close your eyes, like I'm just going to sleep, consciousness switch went off. I'm not in alpha. I just dropped into theta. I go, well, consciousness is closed, but theta is hypnosis. So if you put earphones on and you go to bed and you put the earphones on and there's a program playing through those earphones of things that you want to be true in your life, you might hear some of the program while you're still awake, but the moment consciousness disconnects, you're in a zone of theta before you go to the lowest vibration, delta, which is absolute sleep. So every night there's a window of opportunity, put earphones on. As soon as your conscious mind goes to sleep, the subconscious mind is going to take whatever's coming in those earphones and begin to download them, because that is hypnosis. So that's self-hypnosis. But that by age 7 changes, because by age 7, now we spend more time in consciousness than in theta. And I go, but we still learn things. You learn how to drive a car. You learn how to practice with an instrument. You learn all these things. I say, why is it relevant? And the answer is simply this. How did you create a habit? Practice. You practice it. So the second way of changing a program is practice a new life if you don't like the one you have. Yeah, I like it, new agey people. Fake it till you make it. And I go, well, yeah, what does that mean? I said, well, I'm a miserable person. I want to be happy. So I said, but you're not happy. I said, yeah, but fake it. What does that mean? I say, all day long, anytime you can just consciously pass by, you say, oh, I am happy. I am happy. You could be miserable. I don't really care. The idea is, I am happy. I am happy. Repetition, practice is how you make habits. And so if you keep saying all day long, I'm happy, and you say it for a period of time because it's habit practice, there's a day you wake up and you already started happy because the program is already in there. You don't even have to do it anymore. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genes. I go, where the hell's all the disease coming from? 90% plus of disease is stress. And all of a sudden it's like, oh. So I said, well, you can take all the cancer cells out. I said, did you get rid of the stress? No? Oh, well then guess what? It's coming back. Because the cells didn't cause the problem. They are a symptom of a problem. And all diseases, like cardiovascular disease, 90%, has nothing to do with genes. You're not living in harmony. You're living in fear. A lot of it has fear is the greatest cause of stress, because fear means I'm powerless. That's what fear means. Oh my God, something's coming. I'm a victim. I am powerless. Somebody help me. And then the pharmaceutical company comes in and goes, we're here to help you. I go, another line of BS. Believe says it. And I go, pharmaceutical company isn't here to help you. It's a company. It's a corporation. I say, give me the rule, number one rule in law. When you make a corporation, what is the number one rule in the corporation's leadership? And the answer is, your job is to make a profit for the shareholder. That's number one. If a corporation's not making a profit for the shareholder, then it falls apart. It doesn't work anymore. So I said, well, how do you make a profit for the shareholder? I say, got to make a lot of money. I go, well, making a lot of money, does that mean you're going to help a lot of people? I go, we'll tell them we'll help them. We'll sell them the drugs and they'll buy the drugs. And then we're going to make a lot of money. I say, do the drugs really work? I go, how many people are out there because the doctor said your blood pressure is high or your cholesterol level is high, and we're going to have to give you statin drugs? I go, how long do I have to take a prescription of statin drugs? And then the doctor goes, how long do you want to live? Oh, you want to live? Then take statin drugs your whole life. I go, I got to take them my whole life. I say, are they going to help me? Now comes the truth. Statin drugs only help 3 out of 100 people. 97 people out of 100 have no positive effect from statin drugs. In fact, over 20 of those people will have side effects that are disastrous. So I said, wait, I took the statin drugs to help me with my cholesterol level. 3 people are going to be helped. 20 people are going to get sicker. I go, well, maybe we shouldn't sell the statin drugs. I go, are you kidding me, man? That's a prescription for life. That means we have a customer for life. And I go, nobody paid attention to the side effects being more dangerous than the healing effect. And I go, people don't care because they're told whatever the advertisement told them. Drug companies, they don't give a damn. Why? Because the 97 people that have no positive effect from statins are going to pay them every day of their life to take a statin drug. I say, is it going to help them? I go, nope, but they're going to pay for it every day. And the drug company's like, yay, I could sell lots of statin drugs. You know what they did to sell more drugs? Because there was a cholesterol level. And it said, if you're above this cholesterol level, you need a statin drug. I go, then what did they do? They kept changing the cholesterol level over time. It was, no, you have to have less cholesterol. Oh, all of a sudden it said people that, had a certain level of cholesterol below the required part, No, I don't have to take statin drugs. And then I say, no, you need a cholesterol down here. Oh, now that many more people are going to take statin drugs. Every time they lowered the amount of cholesterol to another level, there's a whole new cohort of people that are going to buy the statin drug. Because, it used to be, that cholesterol level was okay. Now it's not okay. Now you got to take the drug, because they kept lowering the level. And every time they lower the level, there's 1 million new customers for statin drugs. Did it help? Absolutely not. The side effects were far greater, 5-7 times greater side effects than healing. The subconscious mind is yours, not shared by anybody else. So it's not a common mind for civilization. It's what you downloaded, what you learned, and how you're, playing it in your life. Your conscious mind, though, that's the one that is coming from the field where everyone else is involved. And so consciousness is what connects us all. Subconscious is your life experiences. It's used for this lifetime. And something, as the new science revealed to me, which I didn't really know for most of my life, is that we are spiritual entities. I was teaching genes, and now I start to recognize from the physics that we are spiritual entities, and that the body is like a television set. My spirit is the broadcast. When a television breaks, you say television is dead, and I go, yeah, television's dead, but is the broadcast still there? And the answer, of course, it's still there. And I said, yes, this is the same thing with the human. We are not in this body. We are receiving a broadcast, a field, in terms of the science of quantum physics. There's a field that's playing through us. And I go, so if your body dies, the field didn't die. It's still there. And it's like, that blew my mind, because I said, oh my God, you can't die. You're not even in here. And then the joy about that was you also come back again when another embryo has the same set of what are called self-receptors that are reading that field through you. Each of us has our own set of these self-receptors. These are proteins. No two people have the same set. So each of us is receiving a different energy broadcast. Then let's just turn it back for a second to the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is learned in this lifetime from the experiences we have in this lifetime. But when you pass on and go back to the field, subconscious is gone. And when you come back again, guess what? Fresh subconscious, and you start all over again. So the subconscious is used now for this life. The conscious is always here. It's involved whether you are in this body or not in this body, and that is the perpetual person that you really are. I want peace on the earth, and all the rest are fighting all over the place. That means nothing. But if I get enough people to say we want peace on earth, and we get to that number, and as Lynn said, it didn't start with a massive number, it started with a small number, but that number grew. Why? Buckminster Fuller's thing, it says, build a better world. People will come from that world to visit your world. And what Lynn is showing, we can build a better world. And why is it increasing in number of people? Because people are saying, I want what Lynn has. It always reminds me of the movie Harry met Sally.
I'll have what she's having.
Fakes the orgasm in the restaurant, and another woman at a table watching her goes, I want what she has. Well, this is what Lynn and Brian offer. They have something to say. They have something. I want what she has. Why? Because it's empowering. Why? It changes your consciousness. Your consciousness is creating. If the creation doesn't look good, you don't change the world. You change the consciousness. The world then changes because of your creativity. And that's why Lynn's work to me is so important, to get people to wake up and say, miracles happen when you get enough tuning forks together. And how many? Well, apparently 8 tuning forks is good to change it.
The universe is not a duality. The universe is a singularity. It's all energy. And quantum physicists refer to this energy as the field. I'm talking about spirit. You're talking about field. Are we describing the very same thing? Invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. Very interesting. We spiritualists have always emphasized the will of God as the creator and the supreme authority of the universe. Interestingly, Albert Einstein wrote that the field is the sole governing agency of matter. You say field, I say spirit. You say tomato. I say tomato. We're talking about the very same thing.
Consciousness is creating your reality. If you put a picture of fear into your reality, then your biology behavior will manifest things to be afraid of. Because this is a short statement, but to me, it's the most powerful one. Simple and short. And it goes like this. The function of the mind is to create coherence between your beliefs and your reality. If I have a negative belief, the function of my mind is to manifest behavior to experience those negative realities. If I have positive beliefs, then the function of my mind is to manifest a positive experience. But we get programmed with so many negative beliefs, and that takes away our power because we're not focusing on the beautiful things. We're focusing on the fear. What are you afraid of? There are 3 ways to change belief, okay? Self-hypnosis, earphones on at night. Repetition, create a new habit. And third one, energy psychology, which allows you to rewrite an existing program in minutes. And we need to do this. Why? Because if you haven't noticed and you haven't looked out the window, the world's falling apart. I go, and why is it falling apart? And the answer is because we're facing what is called the 6th mass extinction of life. The web of life is collapsing. I go, then why is the web of life collapsing? The answer is human behavior. I go, oh, you don't want the web to collapse? We have to change the behavior. And this is what the world is experiencing at this time. The chaos all over the world is bringing to light the fact that these behaviors we're fighting and violently with are behaviors that have taken us out of heaven and put our consciousness into a world that we're experiencing, which is falling apart. You want to make a world of heaven, then you change the program, and then you could have heaven. It's your belief system that creates this. You fell in love because you stopped playing your program and you created heaven. I say, well, guess what? Heaven was always there, except the damn program got in the way. So you want heaven on earth? Don't play the program, stay mindful, or B, rewrite the existing program and put heaven on earth programs in there, and then 95% of the day you'll be playing that. The body provides us with sensations: pain, love, joy, happiness, anger, whatever. It comes from this mechanism. It's a mechanism. The eyes take in light, but they don't see light back here in the brain. They see energy vibrations. Sound comes in my ears. I don't hear the sound. I hear the vibrations. Taste. That's a vibration. It's a chemical vibration. And all of a sudden, oh my God, this is a transducer. It takes life experiences in a body that gives us vision and smell and taste and touch and pain and love and joy. And I say, and this is sent back to our source. So we came here to have life experiences. And I go, at that moment of awakening, I said, oh crap. Here's a major difference between men and women. Men are not allowed to have these sensory experiences. And I'll give you a reason, but women are. So women are sensitive. And that's a way of life for them. They're sensitive. And then they go, but men are so insensitive. I go, that was a program. We were programmed to be insensitive for a very simple reason. You cannot be a soldier if you're sensitive. You can't kill somebody if you're sensitive. So men have been knowingly programmed to lose sensitivity so they can be used to do those jobs like killing somebody else. And I go, oh my God. Then I missed the reason for being on this planet. I missed the feeling of what is love all about. You know, what are these senses of joy and happiness? I'm not allowed to experience them as a guy because that interferes with a soldier job. I go, I'm wasting my life. And that was a wake-up call. I said, well, damn it. Go out and taste it and touch it and feel it and smell it and do whatever you want. And if it's really good, do it again. And if it didn't work out so good, then don't do that one again. You came here to have these experiences. Why would you want to waste your life having all the negative fear, anxiety, all those problems? It was a choice. It was consciousness. But we didn't know that because we were programmed to be victim. And a victim has no power. And as long as you believe you're a victim, then you manifest victim. And this is why I'm so
honored to be with you, Jeff, because you're experiencing this. You know this stuff. You're trying to get this message out to the other people. Why? To wake us all up. Because we came here to manifest heaven on earth, like falling in love. And I go, then what about all this war and pestilence and plague and all these things? I go, oh, that's a manifestation. And we're manifesting it. You can live in this world without even being involved with all those things. You just have to change who you are and what you want, conscious mind, versus programs, subconscious mind. And when you understand this, you become empowered. And I say, empowered to do what? I say, create heaven on earth. And then people think, oh, you die and go to heaven. I go, boy, is that a big mistake? Because you're going to get to the pearly gates. St. Peter's going to be there. And he says, well, how was your experience in heaven? He said, what do you mean? I said, you were on earth, right? That's heaven. Why? That's where you came to create. What did you create? I go, oh, I don't want to wait to the end, man. My mother remarried when she was relatively older, and she married this guy who was, I said, curmudgeon-y guy. He was not really a happy guy or anything. He lived to be like 95, 96 or something. He had cancer. My mother took care of him at home. The last week of his life, he essentially wasn't there. He was just comatose, more or less, in the bed. And then 2 days before he died, all of a sudden his eyes opened up. He was there. And he looked at my mother and he said, I didn't have any fun. And all of a sudden I just said, holy crap, he's going to die in 2 days. And he woke up today. He didn't have any fun. I said, that's not me, babe. Because when I finish, it's going to be, that was great. Let's do it again. How effective is your conscious mind at overriding the subconscious? I say it works 5% of the time with a miniature computer. And I go, well, that's your problem. I go, the only way you can override the program is not play the program. And that's when we said, stay mindful. And then we said, well, that's going to be difficult because we have to think. So there's only one way out. No, don't keep it a secret. Tell everybody. There's only one way out. Reprogram the subconscious mind. And I go, significance. If you would put wishes and desire programs into the subconscious mind, that means that program would be operating 95% of the day. Meaning, whether your conscious mind is in control saying, these are my wishes and desires, or the conscious mind's thinking, then the subconscious mind comes in and says, these are my wishes and desires, then guess what? Then 100% of your life, you're living wishes and desires. And therefore, all of a sudden, then the work has to come back to each of us as individuals. Each of us got programmed. Each of us is manifesting that program. We give up our power in many of the programs. The fine example is, you were sick as a kid, and just like your parents and any other family members, when you were sick, you went to the doctor. And I go, that's a habit. I said, what does it mean? It says, you learn this in the first 7 years. The program, it says, when you're sick, you give up this power and you go to that doctor and you accept the doctor as the power over you. Because when it came to health, it's like, no, you don't do it. The doctor does it. That's the program. I say, so what's the point? You have given up power over the control of your life and have given it to the truths, quote unquote, offered by the doctor. I go, significance. I go, the doctor misreads your diagnosis and then tells you, oh, I'm sorry, you only have 3 months left to live. And I go, significance. 95% of the day, the program says the doctor is the correct one, the truth. What do I know? The doctor knows. What do I know? So 95% of the day, then your belief system is going to do what? Take the words of the doctor and manifest them as truth. I go, what's that mean? Well, you're going to die in about 3 months. I go, from what? I go, hey, that was a misdiagnosis. You're still going to die, because your belief system will manifest an illness that will terminate. Cancer, for example, is not due to any genes. There's no gene that causes cancer. Genes are correlated with cancer. I go, well, what causes cancer? I say disharmony and repressed anger is one of the big ones. I go, so then I say the genes didn't cause it? I say, no. So I said, then what caused it? I say, my consciousness. I say, what? Repressed anger, And I go, so what? I say, well, change consciousness. And guess what? You can go into remission. The cancer will go away as soon as you change the consciousness. And all of a sudden it's like,
I thought I was a victim of the genes. I said, that's a program. And that is totally incorrect. Because as quantum physics says, consciousness is creating our life experiences. And as the new biology, which I'm familiar with, called epigenetics, is how consciousness controls the genetics. And all of a sudden I say, oh, well, then biology and quantum physics now share the same story. Yeah, you're creating this. And the idea is then if you look at the creation, you're not happy with it, don't go out and blame the creation, because you never saw that you were participating in a way invisible to you that led to this expression. If you want to change it, you have to change you, and then the environment will change. The fear, which is human specific, is the fear of mortality. There's no other organism that knows it's going to die. And I say that fear is what then we gave up our power to have somebody assuage that fear. It's like, oh, it's not so bad or whatever. You know, we bought what? Religion. Why did we buy religion? Well, I'm going to tell you about what happens after you die, the big mystery. And I say, oh, then all of a sudden, guess what? They made the program for my life. I go, who the hell are you to make a program for my life? Well, I bought it because I was in fear, and fear means I have no power. And when I have no power, I'm going to seek someone who says they have the power, and then I'm going to accommodate what they do. And so people join into religion because they have the fear of the afterlife. Well, I'm going to tell you the beautiful part about my research was I didn't believe in spirituality, okay? I had no, to me, afterlife was, I'm chemicals, and when I die, I go back into chemistry. You know, that's what it is. But when I understood this, I said, oh my God, I'm an immortal entity. I'm a spiritual field, quantum mechanics, a field. And all of a sudden I started to realize, oh my goodness, I have no fear. Why? I'm not going to die. I'm not even in here. So how the hell am I going to die? And once that fear was gone, my life was radically different. I tell you why. Because we all live with that biological imperative that says, I'm afraid to die. And I said, but what if you're not afraid to die? What if you don't see death as an end? What if you see it as just a transition into another way? And all of a sudden I say, what the consequence of that is? No fear. I say, then what does that mean? I say, then I'm more powerful because it was the fear that took away my power. And if I don't have fear, then you can't scare me. And I'm not scared. And I don't care about your rules about afterlife because I have my own understanding now. You don't have to try and tell me about afterlife. I know what I am. I'm a spirit. I'm an energy field. The immune system protects you from a threat on the inside. Yeah. But if the tiger's chasing you, who cares about the threat on the inside? I got a bacterial infection and a saber-toothed tiger chasing me. I think, where should I put my energy? And the hell with the infection. A tiger catches you. The infection's not a problem anymore. Yeah. So very important fact, profoundly, everyone listen. Stress hormones specifically shut down the immune system. Because the taking care of the inside is not as important as taking care of the whole thing running away. In fact, stress hormones are so good at this that when doctors want to transplant an organ from person A into person B, the recipient of that organ is given stress hormones before the operation because it reduces the function of the immune system, which would be rejecting the graft. And so you don't want the immune system to reject a graft, so you give them stress hormones, which what? Shuts down the immune system. I go, well, guess what? In today's world, just watch the news for a moment, and all of a sudden your immune system is going, yeah. So that's number two. So number one, stress hormones shut down growth because feeding the viscera for its functions, not worthy of running away. I need to get the blood into the arms and legs. Again, to conserve energy, because look, the immune system uses a lot of energy. If you've ever been sick, sometimes you don't have the energy to get out of bed. So it's like, well, when it's operating, it could drain you of energy. Yeah, but if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, the hell with the immune system. And so you shut that down. So those are two insults to the system. In other words, if I'm not under stress, I'm nourishing my body and I'm encouraging my immune system, I'm staying healthy. But the moment I'm under stress, both of those things shut down and I'm ready to fight or flight. And then I said, well, there's a third one. I call that adding insult to injury. And the answer about what that means is this. The brain has the forebrain where conscious thinking is, conscious thinking, and the hindbrain, which is like habit and reflex behavior. Conscious thinking is slow. I mean, imagine your car is going out of control and it's spinning, and I say, stay in the conscious mind. It's like, oh. I say, yeah, but the moment the car starts to go out of control, the stress hormones go in. Remember, I told you they squeeze the blood vessels in the gut. They squeeze the blood vessels in the forebrain. I say, why? Because it pushes the blood to the hindbrain, which is 1,000,000 times more powerful than the forebrain as a machine processor. And I go, so why is it relevant? I go, because the moment the car is going out of control, it's, oh, well, you're turning the wheel, hitting the pedals, you're doing everything beyond fast, so fast, okay?
Yes.
So when you're in a stressful situation, thinking is slow. And therefore, the system doesn't want you to be slow. It needs you to go, boom, react, reflect right away. So the blood vessels from the same chemistry, squeezing the blood vessels down the gut, squeeze the blood vessels here, push it to the hindbrain. We become less intelligent when we're under stress because now we're reactive. And it gets to a point that sometimes you're so afraid that you take care of me. And then we give up control to the guy with the bigger stick.
Yeah.
You take care of me. Well, that means we're a victim.
Yeah.
Victim means we're powerless. I go, when stress hormones are in the system, the only power you have is to run. And I go, and the relevance about that is very simple. And that is that it was only designed with saber-toothed tigers in mind. I go, why is that relevant? They say, well, the saber-toothed tiger is chasing you. I go, yeah, and I'm running like crazy. I got blood in my arms and legs. I got all the energy. And I say, yeah, but if you escape that tiger in a few minutes of running, then there's no more threat. And then all of a sudden, the stress hormones are gone, and then you're back into growth and everything else. But today, stress is 24/7, 365. A human body was never designed to be maintaining a stress situation because it suppresses the vitality of the system. And in today's world, with the idea of COVID, everyone is afraid. I go, and guess what? The one thing you wanted was your immune system to work. And the one thing that's not working because you're afraid is the immune system. I go, the more fear people have, the sicker they become.
Yes.
And this is a wake-up call that says, man, we have to stop listening to that fear drum. They keep beating the drum. Everybody's going to die. I go, no, somebody's going to die. You know, there are people who are indeed vulnerable because they're already stressed immune system. People that live in stress are already open to a problem. Older people whose immune systems are not working up to the fullest capability, they're under threat because their immune system is already compromised. And then there's the people with what are called comorbidities. I go, what are they? I say, these are stressors on the system that are chronic. Overweight is one of the biggest ones. In the serious cases of COVID, 78% of those serious patients were overweight. Why? Overweight is a challenge to the system, and you're already challenging your immune system before the damn virus showed up. So that's a big problem. Diabetes type 2, meaning that's a stress world. Diabetes is a stressor that's in the system. The more stressors that you have going, the less effective your immune system is. So it turns out, here's a number, unfortunately, Americans, 60% of Americans have at least one comorbidity. They're slightly compromised, okay? But 40%, and this is where the issue comes from, have 2 or more simultaneous comorbidities. These are people that are ripe for infection. Why? Their immune systems are already compromised before the damn virus showed up. So it's like, well, then am I afraid of COVID? I said, well, if you're a healthy person, no. If you're a compromised person, then you should be taking care of yourself. I don't have to take care of myself. You have to take care of yourself because you're the one that's open. And yet we want everybody to put on the mask and everybody to get the vaccines. I go, that's stuff. I was going to say a bad word. That stuff is not valid. I go, what do you mean it's not valid? I say, the country of Gibraltar, 100% of that population has been vaccinated. And guess what? Delta went through there like a plague, man. And I say, yeah, but they were all vaccinated. I go, yeah, because the vaccine doesn't work. I go, well, yeah, but now Omicron. I go, no, the vaccine doesn't work. And they say, well, get your booster shot. I say, get the booster shot. It didn't even work the damn first time. Why should I take the second time? It does not work. And so the real issue is this. We have to take care of our health and not wait for other people to protect me from them. If I'm a vulnerable person, it's my responsibility to take care of my health. Mind controls not just what genes are being activated, but mind can alter the blueprint. I can make 3,000 different proteins from the same blueprint just based on how I see the world. So all of a sudden it says, wow, we are very powerful. We're the architects and we can create health. We can also create disease because we're the creator of it. Okay. So now comes the big part, and that is this. To me, the most valid science on this planet is quantum physics. Quantum physics, I say that because back in 1927, when it was theoretical, they came up with a whole bunch of things, Albert Einstein, Max Planck, Heisenberg. They came up with a theory of how everything worked. Well, it's nearly 100 years, and guess what? Almost all of their theories are totally accurate. So we have a deep, deep understanding of quantum physics. Consciousness is creating our life experience. Principle number one. It was back in 1927. Max Planck, one of the founders, said, the mind is the matrix of all matter. That's where the movie The Matrix comes from.
Do you see value in going backwards? In other words, in psychotherapy or in going back to the past?
No. And you say, well, why didn't I see value? And then I said, because when you go back and replay that problem, you've exercised that problem again. You have pushed the buttons that created the problem in the first place. That's why they have so many boxes of tissues in the psych office, because you're going to cry your eyes out. Why? Because you're going to be replaying the trauma of what caused the problem. And this is the cool part. It no longer exists. It's not there anymore, except for you carrying it with you. And there's a point where I say, well, then why should I go back and repeat this? Because it's just going to cause a replay of the same program, which reinforces that program. I go, I don't care about the past. I care about, here I am today. I want to go this way. What do I want today? I don't care about what happened back there. Not that I should forget about it, because I don't want to replay it again. But it doesn't control me anymore, because I say, replaying that is just putting in the old days they had records you guys don't know about, but they had needle record, and if you keep playing the record, the needle gets deeper in the groove. I go, we don't want to play it again, so it's irrelevant to go back. I like it. There's a story of two Buddhist monks. Monks are not the male monks are not allowed to touch women. And these two monks are walking along the path, and they come to a river, and there's a woman all dressed up in her wedding finery, and she's crying and crying. And it's, what's wrong? She says, well, I can't get across the water, and I'll ruin my clothes. And so one monk just picks her up, walks across, drops her on the other side, and then the two monks walk down the street. About half hour, 45 minutes later, the one that didn't pick her up turns to him and said, you picked up a woman back there. And then the other monk says, I put her down 45 minutes ago. You're still carrying her. And if you get the story is this. It was over. The history is over. Do I want to repeat it? No. So there's a way of seeing what it was, but I don't have to repeat it, because I have to say, what is it I want? Not what is it I don't want. A lot of people go, I don't want this. I go, yeah, but what is it you want? People have more problems answering what it is they want than saying what they don't want. And the important part about this is you can only move into the future that you want by acknowledging what you want, not saying, I don't want that anymore. I said, well, that didn't give you your future. And so, yes, there are ways to reprogram the subconscious. And when you do, your life will change permanently.
As you understand the terms quantum physics and quantum mechanics, or Newtonian physics and Newtonian mechanics, what you see is that physics and mechanics are synonyms. So physics really means the mechanisms by which the universe operates. And the new physics, quantum physics, was something that I really wasn't into, nor were any of my colleagues in the medical school. We were all trained in Newtonian physics. And the difference between the two is very profound. Newtonian physics says the world that we live in, the universe we live in, is a machine made out of mechanical parts. If you want to understand how it works, take it apart, study the pieces, change the operation. That's the basis of medicine. We look at a human body, it's a machine made out of physical parts. When it's not working right, change the parts by buying chemicals and drugs. And that's the way that conventional medicine operates. When I started to read the quantum physics, I realized, oh my goodness, the whole foundation of the universe is not based on a mechanical, physical universe. It's based on the invisible energy called the field. So let's say if I hold a magnet right here in front of you, and you can see the magnet, but what you can't see is the invisible magnetic field. And so what it says is, well, we are physical things in our world, like physical bodies. We're immersed in fields, electromagnetic fields, magnetic fields itself, all kinds of fields like telephone, cell phone fields, television fields, radio fields, whole ranges. What is the difference between the Newtonian physics and the quantum physics is this. Newtonian physics focus on the particles. Quantum physics says, you want to understand why the particles take this shape? Then you have to understand the field. It's the field that controls biology. It's the invisible forces. There's a great quote by Albert Einstein, and it's simple. It goes, the field is the sole governing agency of the particle. In other words, in the world of invisible things, fields, and particles, matter, it's the field that gives shape to the matter. And this is the basis of quantum physics. This becomes relevant. It says, okay, here's the physical particles of my body. Why are they in a healthy state, or why could they be in a sick state? That's the physical expression. And the answer is, well, to understand that, don't look at the body. You have to understand the invisible forces in the field. And it's fun, because if you think about it, when you were young, at some point you must have had like iron filings and sprinkled it around a magnet, and all of a sudden you saw the iron filings form that pattern of the magnetic field. Well, quantum physics would look at this pattern and try to explain how come all the iron filings fell in this pattern without recognizing that the field exists. In other words, can you explain why the iron filings have this shape if you don't recognize the magnetic field? And the answer is absolutely not. What's the nature of it? The body and its cells are like iron filings. Medicine is trying to understand the nature of the body by looking at the iron filings. And quantum physics says, if you don't understand that invisible field, you can't understand what's happening in the body.
When you think about someone who's an artist and they're creating, a musician, a chef, or in love, like you're in the flow, right? So you're just
because you're not thinking.
Yeah, you're not thinking, you're doing. And it doesn't mean there's not participation. It just means that you're not thinking of the future. You're kind of just, time and space sort of change. Like you lose track of time, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Not thinking means not diverting to the subconscious, meaning you stay in conscious creativity.
Yeah.
Conscious creativity is wishes and desires. So a chef is so involved with the cooking and paying attention to all the details, they're not thinking. And I say, well, what does that mean? They're not coming from program. They're coming from creativity, okay? The artist, the chef, the race car driver. Okay?
Yeah.
Not thinking, man, we're in it. We're going.
I had a monk tell me I should write a book called The Speed of Consciousness.
Well, that's it. And the subconscious is much faster than the conscious. And that's why in times of emergency, the conscious is too slow to help us. And that's why we jump to it. But then the problem is whatever behavior you're going to express while you're in that subconscious was a program that you had, a positive or a negative. Well, up to 60% of the programs that you downloaded are not positive. They're disempowering programs. One of the things that really upset me for a long time was the fact that I had great ideas and intentions and I wanted to manifest them, and I thought this is how it's going to manifest. And so I had all these visions of how things were going to unfold. And then I'd start a process and it wouldn't unfold, and then it would irritate me because it's like, I've got to make it work. Ultimately, I started to recognize when things didn't work, It was possibly because there were better ways to do it and I wasn't conscious of it. And so what I started to learn over a period of time was simply this. There's an old saying, there's a means to an end. And the idea, well, the end is your destination. And of course, the means are how you're going to get to that destination. Well, of course, all of us sit down and say, yeah, this is what I want. And then we start to figure out, well, this is what I'll do to get to those ends. I'll get to this and I'll get to this to get to the end. What I started to realize at some point was maybe my awareness of how to get to the end wasn't exactly accurate. And it turns out many of the times when things didn't work, and I was like so upset it didn't work, but it turned out, oh, there was a better way to get there and I didn't even know it. So the universe was really facilitating me and I wasn't paying attention. I was getting angry at the universe because like it's not working the way I want it to work. And then I started to realize at some point was, my God, maybe the universe has a better solution than the one I was even thinking of myself. So I really learned over a period of time, it's very critical insight to help me get to where I am, is to focus on the end. What is it I really want? Put that focus together, and it's very critical. It's very interesting because a lot of people have, well, I would like this, and it's a broad general category, and then at some point it's like, well, it's not specific enough. You have to actually say what it is you want. I'll always remember I was looking for a special shirt to go to a Pink Floyd concert. And I just all of a sudden visualized, oh, it'd be neat to have a Russian shirt, you know, with a collar that goes across here and a couple of buttons down. And I thought, oh, yeah, that would be really great. That would be a cool shirt. And then I stopped and I was thinking, where the heck do you get a shirt like that? I have no idea in the world. But I thought that would be pretty good. So I figured, well, I still got to get something. So I drive off to a mall up near San Francisco, and I walk into the mall, and there's a First Men's store over there, and I go, let's start looking. I have no idea. And I walk in, and of course, there's this big circular rack of sale clothes. And I thought, what the hell? It's only a Pink Floyd concert one night. Let's see what's in there. And I started going through the rack, and lo and behold, oh my God, a Russian shirt right in the middle of everything. And it was like the shock of, oh my God, there's a Russian shirt right here. The unfortunate part of it was I had the picture of a Russian shirt. I said, cool. I never said what the color was or anything else. I just said Russian shirt. And there was a Russian shirt. Color, gray. No color at all. Why? I didn't put in the concept of color, and the universe said, well, just give it to them in gray. And it was one of those things like, oh, be conscious of what you're asking for, because the more detail you put in, the more the universe can manifest a resolution. If you leave a lot of blanks in what you want, then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's random, whatever fills in the blanks, because you never said what you wanted. You can have an idea of what you want, and that's important. But the most important part of that, just having an idea, is not just have a broad idea. I want X. And I go, no. What exactly do you want? Why? Go back to the principles of science. And the principles of science reveal something very important. That principle of science is this. Consciousness is creating our life experiences. I go, well, that sounds new agey. I go, no, this is not new agey. This is the primary principle of quantum physics. We are creators. This is a fact. In fact, quantum physics says that, but now let me add one other fact. Epigenetics says the same thing, because epigenetics says your consciousness is controlling your behavior and your genes. And so it's time to stop for a second and recognize, where is your consciousness? What are you thinking about? And the idea is, start thinking all those very positive thoughts, but don't try and tell the universe how it's going to manifest, okay? You think of the picture. Let the universe get you there. And that's the most important lesson I've learned. I'm not telling the universe how I'm going to get there. I'm just saying, universe, this is where I want to go. And then the universe will take care of it. It's so powerful. It is so wonderful. And I never believed in it for the first 40, 50 years of my life, but I can tell you now, the life that I'm manifesting today is a consequence of just what I said. Focus on the end. Don't tell the universe the means to get there.
What are some daily affirmations you started to implement when you saw this depressed thoughts coming in, or these self-sabotage thoughts coming in? What did you shift it with affirmations, with different thoughts? What did you start to say?
It was just the awareness, that
as I said, the very first stop light where I started all of a sudden listen while I'm waiting for the light, it was like the first time I tuned in and I go, what the hell are you thinking? That was the most important thing, because then the habit of not going there anymore, starting to realize, this is why am I thinking this negative thing? Turn around, make a positive statement right now, because that negative one is taking you and just a repetition of this behavior become habitual. So, and habits are great. Why? No effort. I love habits. Why? You don't even have to think about them. They do it automatically, So if you put in these really great habits, you can walk through the day and think anything you want, do anything you want, and your habit, if they're good ones, will just guide you perfectly through here without even being involved with thinking. That's the game. The game is, what is heaven to you? Then program that's your life. And then guess what? The 95% of the day manifesting heaven while you're not even thinking about it.
And once you have identified your programs, how can you change, or what do you do with them?
That always comes up because that's the most important question after you understand how it works. The most important question is, well, how do I change the program? And I go, this is the critical part. The conscious mind is creative, which means it can think of anything. The subconscious mind is programmed. It's got habits. I go, so what? And I say, habits, when you have them, it's a habit. You do not want to change a habit, which is important. You learned how to walk before you were 2. I'm glad you don't change your habit because you'll forget how to walk. I say, nope, same program you learned before 2 can carry you 100 years, same program, okay? Habits do not want to change, because if a habit changes, then by definition, it's not a habit. So the subconscious mind is habit mind. I say, yeah, but how do I change it? I say, there's 3 ways only that you can control this. Number 1, how'd you get the habits in the first place? I say, for 7 years, my brain was at a low vibration called theta, which is just below consciousness. And theta is the direct hypnosis line to the subconscious. So when you're in theta, whatever you're experiencing at that point can be downloaded straight into the subconscious. I say, well, how do you get the theta? I say, interesting. Every day when you're up at work, you got a high vibration in the brain. That's, again, with the wires on your head, EEG. The high vibration is called beta. That's like schoolroom studying, focused consciousness. When you come home and relax, the vibration goes lower. Now it goes into what is called alpha. Alpha is calm, relaxed consciousness. But when you get really calm and you're really relaxed, guess what? Alpha shuts off, you're sleeping. When alpha is off, you are sleeping. But for the next period of time, right after you fell asleep, the brain is operating in theta, and then it goes to the lowest vibration, deep sleep, delta. So theta is a period when your mind goes to sleep, it's open for a little while, and theta is hypnosis. So if you put earphones on, and you play a program at night when you go to bed. Every night you go to bed, just before you fall asleep, you put the earphones on, you play a program about health, a program how to make money, a program how to be, relationships, a self-help program, okay? At night, you put the earphones on when you go to bed. And as soon as you fall asleep, you're not awake anymore. Alpha, close, you're in theta, record. Whatever's coming in through the earphones is not going into the conscious mind. It's going deeper into the subconscious. It's called self-hypnosis. You put the earphones on, you repeat that. Because theta is not a long period after you fall asleep, but if you repeat it every night, you'll get information into the subconscious. So number 1, self-hypnosis, earphones out at night, play a program that you want to be true, okay? And that will automatically happen. This is a demonstration and it's fun. Why? You were sleeping. You didn't even have to do any work. You just had to go to sleep and the work would be automatic. So when you wake up after playing this at night, the subconscious will have a new program, and one day you wake up and you're living the new program without even playing the tapes anymore. Once it's in, okay? So number 1 is hypnosis, self-hypnosis, okay? But after age 7, the brain is not in hypnosis.
And now consciousness is working. I said, but you can still learn a program. You can learn a habit. And I say, how? Practice, repetition. You want to drive a car? Well, I'm not getting in a car until you practice. Why? Because it's the practice that makes the program strong. I need to empower the people because they have been invisibly disempowered without the knowledge that their life is coming from programs that they didn't even put in there.
Right. So true.
And these programs rarely support what you want. So you play the programs and all you find is you're not getting what you want. Those programs never gave it to you. Mm-hmm. You know, a famous book, Kiyosaki wrote a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is truth. Here it is, simple truth. If you grew up in a rich family, you were programmed how to be rich and how to have money. If you grew up in a poor family, you were programmed to recognize you don't have any money and you don't have any power. And I say then a rich person will stay rich. Why? Because 95% of their life is coming from the programs they downloaded from the rich parents who made all the money. The poor person is going to stay poor because 95% of their program comes from the poverty mentality that their family experienced when they were young. And all of a sudden it says, well, then you got programmed. You want to be a rich kid or a poor kid? I said, well, what the hell was your program?
Right.
And the big one that we're talking about, David, is the program of fear. Because we've all been programmed with some vision that other people have told us about the afterlife, the fear, the hell, the damnation. Oh, I don't want to die. I go, hey, from what are called near-death experiences where people have died for a period of time, almost every one of them said the exact same thing. It was better out there than it was back here again. And, because a lot of them, when having this experience, are given a choice. Do you want to stay here in the afterlife or do you want to go back? And most of them would prefer to have stayed there, but have obligations and came back.
Right.
But the point was, yeah, you're not this physical body, you're the broadcast, you're the energy. But when you're playing through this body, then you're the experiences of your life at this point. When you're out of body, you are the energy, and the energy is forever. People don't realize the power of programming. I'll give you one right now. Cancer is one of the leading causes of death in the world right now. And I go, but what? And I go, there's no gene that causes cancer. What? Oh, they're oncogenes. We call these cancer genes, like the breast cancer gene. I go, those are genes associated with the cancer. They don't cause the cancer. For, example, so many women live in fear of the breast cancer gene because so many have it. But they live, what's the fear? I'm going to get the cancer. I have the gene. And I said that fear is a vision which is manifesting into their reality. But then I go, 50% of the women that carry the gene never get the cancer. I said, what's the point? And the point is this. Possession of the gene didn't cause cancer. It was a lifestyle that was undermining your biology that activated expression of these genes. The gene didn't activate itself. So all of a sudden it says, oh my goodness, then the idea of cancer didn't come from the genes. I go, no, it came from the programming. Programming of disharmony, dysfunction, not living in life, the fears that are programmed because our consciousness is creating this world. Oh, that's quantum physics. Oh, yeah, that's epigenetics. Oh, yeah, that's absolutely right. That's placebo. I go, what do you mean? I'm sick, and the doctor says, this is the greatest, newest research pill ever. It's going to cure you. You take the pill, you get better, and you go, oh, yeah, that was great. And then you find out the pill was a sugar pill. There's a very important point. Then what the hell heals you?
Right.
The conscious belief that you would be healed manifested healing. And everybody go, oh yeah, placebo. My thoughts manifested my reality. I go, that's exactly what it's all about. And yet, while we are in a discussion of placebo, what people don't discuss, which is much more important to understand, is while positive thinking can heal us, negative thinking is equally powerful in controlling the character of our lives. So that negative thinking can cause any disease, even death. If you just believe you're going to die, you can die just from the belief of it. Wow. Looking at the world and seeing what's going on right now, all the chaos, the upheaval that's going on is so distressing at one level. And it's interesting for me because as a scientist, I can stand up and talk about the fact that today's chaos is a necessary requirement for the evolution that we would love to see. And yet I, like you, have to live in this crazy world. It's mind-blowing. It's crazy. And it becomes really important because all of this stuff that we're hearing is motivating fear. And fear, by its definition, is disempowering. Because when you're in fear, you're expressing, I have no power to take care of myself. And we give up power. And we give it up to other people to create the world for us. And obviously, by looking at this computer and watching what's going on around the world, those so-called leaders are not really helping us get to the destination of a heaven on earth reality. And it's time to recognize, yes, fear takes away our power. I've talked about that in many, many lectures, talked about the fact that stress hormones actually shut down our consciousness and puts us into a reactive mode. Well, this is not a time for reaction. This is a time for creation. And this is what the emphasis of quantum physics has been telling us, that it's our consciousness that is making creation. And yet, if we're living in fear and consciousness is coming from fear, then what world are we creating? Well, that's the chaos we observe every day on the news. So in this situation, what we really have to do is just listen to the words of Franklin D. Roosevelt when he said, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Also relevant today are the profound words by Frank Herbert in Dune, where he says, fear is the mind killer. And this is what we have to recognize. Well, I've been talking about the fact that consciousness has created our world, and I say it's based on science. Well, let me give you a very important fact. It was in 1927, in the founding of the science of quantum physics, that we get the most important insight from one of the founding fathers of quantum physics, Max Planck. And what does Max say? All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind that force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. He concludes, this mind is the matrix of all matter. Well, that was, 70 some more years ago, or 100 years ago? I say, has that changed? I go, no. Look at this, for example. This is an article out of the most prestigious scientific journal on this planet, Nature. And I say, well, what's this article? I said, it's called The Mental Universe. It's by a quantum physicist at Johns Hopkins University. I'm not going to go and describe everything he says in the article because Richard Conn Henry, the author, summed it up in the last sentence. Let me emphasize for you that last sentence in this article on quantum physics. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. An interesting thing about the Matrix is that we're given a choice to take either a red pill or a blue pill. Taking the red pill wakes us up and the blue pill puts us back to sleep. Those that have taken the red pill believe they really have awakened. But the fact is this, biologically speaking, how do you know whether you're really awake or whether you're still asleep? The whole point about this is when you're asleep and you're in a dream, you don't know whether you're awake or in a dream. They all seem exactly the same. Some people like to consider The Matrix as nothing more than a science fiction film. But in truth, it's actually a documentary. We've all been programmed. And 95% of our life is coming from the program. We're not living the life that we desire because we have been programmed. But what is the real nature of taking the pills in the first place? As we've described before, we came here to make a choice. Do we take the red pill or do we take the blue pill? As the Oracle says,
how can I make a choice?
You didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
Whether you take the red pill or you take the blue pill, that's no choice at all, because that choice is taking the pill, either one. But it's a taking situation. And the problem with this is civilization has been taking for thousands of years, taking and taking. From where? From Mother Earth, nature, taking her resources and using them to the extent that there are no more resources from Mother Earth. We're facing a problem now as being takers. We as being takers have created what is called the sixth mass extinction of life on this planet. We have taken so much from nature that nature is collapsing. The real choice is, what is the opposite of taking? And that is giving. And this is what nature is calling upon us to do right now. Stop taking from nature and let's give back to nature, because this is the only way we can create balance and harmony in our world. Nature is the source, and it is time for us right now to return to that source. Through this chaos, nature is teaching us how to learn to live in harmony with each other, as well as learning to live in harmony with nature itself. This is the point of cooperation, to come here and create and maintain that balance of harmony and peace. Humankind has been programmed with the delusion that we are separate from each other and we are separate from Mother Nature herself. The real choice we're being asked to make is whether we want to live in polarity or whether we want to live in harmony. The difference being, in polarity, we have opposite sides in conflict. In contrast, in harmony, the opposite sides work together and complement one another. And this is completely different than the polarity. If you took the red pill, it doesn't mean that those that took the blue pill are something different and less than what you are. That's just a different polarity that can come together in the name of harmony and actually integrate with one another. I really want you to understand the nature of what is the significance between receiving and giving. In our biology, our nervous system is all based on receiving. All of our receptors receiving sound, smell, taste, touch, pain, pressure, all of this is receiving. But the question is, what are we giving back? We are receptors, but we also must learn to be givers. And that is where harmony and balance comes from. The balance between not just taking, but returning back to nature, what nature has given us.
What are the main limiting beliefs that you just hear consistently that most people tend to have if they're not in a higher level program that they've caught and switched with?
Well, one of the main beliefs that they're caught up in is the lack of power they feel over their own health and their own reality. That I'm a victim. I'm a victim of my genes. I'm a victim of this world out here. I say if the belief system is translated into behavior. If I believe I'm a victim, then my behavior will be as a victim. No power. You guys tell me what to do, and I'll try and do what you just said. And I say, well, that's the biggest problem of all, because quantum physics, I mentioned, is the most valid science. And principle number one is you're the creator of this. And it's like, well, when are you going to own that? And the answer is, I could say it, but then you walk away and a few minutes later, you're back into your world again. Everything's gone. You know, listen, it took me a while. I learned and understood that, oh my God, this is how it works. And I was so excited. I wanted to get people, I wanted to tell anybody to listen to the science. This is how it works. So I beginning got some people together and I started to go off. Let me tell you how to create the most beautiful life experience. And then they'd look at me and they go, you know, Lipton, for a guy who says, you know this, your life doesn't look that good.
Interesting.
It was my wake-up call that said, how the hell can I talk about how wonderful this is and I'm not practicing it? And I immediately said to myself, no, don't go out there and talk to anybody about this. Why? Until you do it.
So what were the things that were holding you back before you discovered this? And then what was the new program that you started to implement for yourself on a consistent basis to have 100% upgraded program?
Yeah. Well, one of the things professionally, okay, I was doing a great job. I had a great professorship in a medical school, all that kind of stuff. You know, personally, my life sucked.
Really?
I couldn't get a relationship off the ground. I go, why not? I go, well, now that I know about it, I was programmed about relationships by observing my father and my mother. Well, they had dysfunctional relationships. So what do you think I downloaded? Dysfunction. Yeah. So my conscious mind goes forward and says, yeah, I want to have a great relationship. I get into it. My subconscious mind steps up and says, so this is how we do a relationship. Ooh, uh-oh, game over. Right. You know, why? Because I didn't see the negative behaviors that I was putting out. My partner, potential partner, saw them and gave them cause for alarm. I don't think I want to be with this guy, you know, that was me. And then I realized that. And that's when I really had to go in first thing and start to change. Who am I? And I'll tell you the biggest problem now after years of working, people do not love themselves. And I say, what does that mean? I say, if you have a program where you don't love yourself, then rationally, logically, can anybody else love you? And the answer is no.
Because you don't think you're lovable.
That's right. And somebody says you are that, oh, I love you. And then you go, well, you probably don't have any quality control. I know I'm not lovable. What's wrong with you? And then at some point you push them away and then they're not there. And then you go, I'm not lovable. Nobody's here. I pushed them away, and I changed that. I was nearly 45 years old, 40 some years old. And I had zero quality relationships for all that life.
Right.
I changed the program. And within a couple of years, I'm now with my partner, Margaret. And the fact is, she was involved with a workshop training program for people. So she understood processing and stuff. And when I came and we added the science and the processing, we've been living a honeymoon for 26 years.
Really?
26 years waking up every day going, wow, still here. Another day for fun. Another day for being in love. It was great. And it still is. But if I didn't change the program, that would never have been part of my life at all. I would have been my whole life struggling. It's been a very strange year on this planet. Chaos is happening all over the place. And we're looking at this going, what's going on with our world? It seems like it's turning upside down. The answer is, it is turning upside down. Now, that might be the bad news for most people, but it's actually, for my insight, it represents the good news. You go, how could it be the good news that the world is so filled with chaos? And the answer is simply this, is that human behavior has precipitated the 6th mass extinction of life on this planet, which includes us. 5 times in the history, life was thriving on this planet, and some event like a comet hitting the Earth upended the entire ecosystem, wiping out up to 90% of life. This is the 6th mass extinction, and the source of this is much closer to home than a comet because the source of our extinction is human behavior. We are undermining the web of life, and as a result, there's a collapse of nature going on all around us. If we don't change, we're going to go extinct. I'm not talking 1,000 years, folks. I'm talking decades from now. So what you're seeing is a collapse of a foundation. Civilization is changing so rapidly. COVID has pushed it super fast. All of things are changing with the COVID. The way we work on the world and we commute on the world, things like that are profoundly different now, and we're moving into a different way of life. We are not going back to the old way of life. We are creating a new version. So when you look at the world falling apart, don't be afraid. Actually, be very joyous. Why? If it doesn't fall apart, extinction is right here in a few decades. If it falls apart, it gives us an opportunity to create something better, to move from here to there. Frequently I'm asked every day, how come you look so happy? And the answer is, I wake up happy. And why do I get this happiness? Where's it coming from? And the answer is this, it's another day on planet Earth. And what's so exciting about it is, it's another day that I have no idea what's going to happen, but the greatest wishes and desires for some fun and excitement and a very joyous life. So I start off with, today's going to be a great day. And almost every day it ends up being a great day. Doesn't mean everything works right, but the beautiful part about it is I've really learned not to carry anything forward that is not really happy and joyous in my life. It reminds me of a story. 2 Buddhist monks are walking along, and Buddhist monks are not allowed to touch women at all. And these 2 Buddhist monks are walking along, and they come to a river, and at that river there's a woman dressed in her wedding finery, and she's crying because she can't get across the river wearing these clothes. So one of the monks just picks her up, carries her across, drops her off on the other side. Then the 2 monks continue walking. And about an hour and a half down the road, one monk says to the other one, how could you pick up a woman? And the one who picked up the woman looked at him and said, I dropped her off an hour and a half ago. Why are you still carrying her? And the whole idea about that is, the meaning of it is, when events happen in our life, it's not necessary to keep carrying them, especially if they're negative ones. You can just stop right there and go on to the next thing. It's a choice. Do I want to be in an environment where I'm not happy? Or do I want to be in an environment where I am happy? Oh, choice? Well, obviously. But most of us have that choice, but are so caught up in conventional rules and conventional way of mannerisms and social structure that we hold ourselves in places we don't even want to be. And then we sit there in our mind getting aggravated by the whole fact of, I don't even want to be here. And I go, well, then guess what? Choice. Pick a place you want to be. Go to the movie. Go do something else. break the pattern. And when you break the pattern is your moment of power. Because when the pattern is broken, there's new choices at that moment. But if you don't break the pattern, you're going to follow a litany of up or down, depending how you started off the process. The litany down, not a great trip, I'll tell you that. But hey, I think it's over 20 some years, I haven't been depressed. I haven't even been angry. I get upset by some things, of course, but it doesn't mean I hold them. I drop that person off on the other side of the river and stop carrying it. And this is the choice. It really is a choice. You have to think about it because it's a conscious awakening at a moment that gives you a choice that wakes up and goes, do I want to do this? And that's that moment of choice. You take that moment of choice and then you say, I'm moving into where I want to go. You make a habit out of this because you repeat this. And then guess what? You don't even have to think about it anymore because the subconscious program will always redirect you to the place you want to be. And the whole other world that we used to experience that used to irritate us and aggravate us and all that anxiety stuff, it just doesn't exist. And it doesn't mean everything's going right. But the whole beautiful part about it is, well, if it doesn't go right, okay, stop now, let's go do something else. Because it's the idea, it didn't go right, and then why didn't it go right, and who didn't make it right, and where's it going to go now, and blah, blah, blah. And what are you doing? You're digging a hole. And it's not going up, it's going down. And the whole idea is choice. But the most important part of choice is you have to stop long enough, not get caught up in the program and play out the program. There's a moment while you're playing the program, maybe you can separate and look at yourself and say, why am I doing this? Because that is the moment of power. That is the moment where you can say, I have a choice. I can do something totally different than to stew in this stuff. And then you are a powerful person. And in today's world, we're told, don't go by the feelings. If I did, I would have probably been better off at this moment. So when we recognize we have to make a decision, we can do it in two fundamental ways. First, do an assessment, an analysis of step by step, what does this decision mean and why should I choose it? But when you get to the end, before you absolutely take that information and make a decision based on that, ask your heart. And the reason why is this, the heart doesn't care about the individual steps in the decision. The heart only looks at the conclusion. Either you get more energy from this decision, a good vibe, a feeling that this is right, or the heart will give you a feeling of bad vibes, less energy, a feeling that maybe this isn't the right answer. So the significance is really profound because the heart just reads energy. And higher energy is more life, less energy is less life. So in making a decision, yes, it's acceptable to do the analysis, but before you come to that final decision, please check in with your heart. Feel the feelings. If the feelings are good, that means go toward that direction. But if you feel questioned about it, you feel weaker about it, doesn't just feel right, the heart is telling you right off that that energy is not good for you and you should use some other decision. Oh, wow. That's so wonderful. What a wonderful way to make a decision based on these feelings. And they can help us find the direction that we need to go in and lead us to a better life. Uh-oh. I guess that's not really working for me at this moment. Whoops. Oh, well. Computer, end simulation. Scotty, how many times have I told you not to leave me off at sea? You know I can't swim. Meet me at the bridge. You have some splaining to do. Your life, 95%, is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your programs. You just look at your life and recognize simple fact. The things that you like that come into your life, they come in because you have a program to acknowledge those things. But the things you wish, desire, want in your life, and you work hard to make them happen. You struggle. You sweat over it. I'm putting a lot of effort in. I'm going to make this happen. Why are you working so hard? And the answer is whatever that destination is, your program doesn't support it.
And you're trying to use your conscious creative mind to override the program. I say, yeah, but conscious mind is 5%, program is 95%. I go, it's not going to work very well at all.
So that's why poor people stay poor and rich people stay rich.
Yep, that's why the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that was exactly what the whole point was. If you grow up with the programming of a rich family, you don't have to think. Programming is subconscious. Your thinking might be quite stupid. I mean, a former president of ours was a relatively rich person, but not very smart in his conscious mind. But his program was, how I got rich. By what? He downloaded that from his family, okay? And if you're in a poor family, what did you download? Oh, life's a struggle. It's not, I can't get there. As you know, you can change it. I say, yeah, how can you change it? Remember I said, well, there are two minds. Conscious is creative, wishes and desires, subconscious hard drive with a program. I say, the conscious mind being creative can learn from anything. Read a self-help book. Oh, yeah, I know how to do that. I say, you read the book. I give you a quiz. You get 100. And it says, yeah, you know this stuff. And then I say, well, now that you know this stuff, did your life change? And the answer is no. I go, why? The conscious mind learns from reading the book. That's not how the subconscious mind learns. So our smarts stay up here. I read the book. I knew the information. I understood how it worked, blah, 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 blah. I go, yeah, that's the thinking mind. That knows. But I go, does that translate into subconscious? I go, no, it doesn't, because that's not how the subconscious mind learns. You want to change the subconscious, then you have to put in the data the way the subconscious mind learns. Conscious mind, creative, can learn from anything. You can just go, aha, I just changed my mind. I can do that, okay? Subconscious mind, habit. Point of habit, it resists change. If a habit changes, then by definition, it's not a habit anymore. So habits resist change, and yet we have these habits, and we want to change them. And I say, well, how can you do it? And I say, the only way you can change the habits is the way that the habits were learned in the first place. I go, well, what was that? And I said, first 7 years, your brain was at a lower vibration than consciousness. It was called theta. Theta is hypnosis. And I go, oh, so what do I do? I say, well, you can't just say, okay, I want to go into hypnosis. Hypnosis is part of a scale of low vibration going to high during the day. And then when you come home from work, the high vibration slows down and goes to sleep at the lowest vibration. So you go through a range of different vibrations as you're sleeping, awakening, calm, conscious, focus conscious. You're at work, focus conscious. And I go, then what? You come home, you calm down. Now it's calm conscious. And then I say, what? Then you fall asleep. And I say, the instant you fall asleep, the next vibration down is theta. I go, that's hypnosis. I go, yeah. So I say, then every night, the moment you fall asleep, the brain for a short period of time is in hypnosis theta. So I say, so what? Well, you put on earphones or earplugs and you go to bed playing a program that you want to be true in your life. I say, so what? I say, you put it on just before you fall asleep. And while you're still awake, you probably hear some of the program, okay? But the moment you fall asleep, conscious mind's disconnected, doesn't hear anything coming off of the program anymore. I say, but what does? I say, the subconscious mind is in theta, record. So whatever's coming through the earphones is not going into conscious mind, but it's now being directly downloaded into the subconscious. So this is called self-hypnosis. You have to repeat this process because the amount of time in theta is relatively short before you hit the lowest vibration, delta, which is sleep outright, okay? So every night when you go to bed, just after your consciousness falls asleep, there's a period of record opportunity. And then we put the earphones on, play the program. It's called self-hypnosis. That's hypnosis. You're doing it yourself, okay? Number two, you still learn programs after age 7. You learn how to drive a car. You learn how to play an instrument. I go, well, how'd you do it that way? And I go, repetition. Habituation is practicing something and repeating it so many times that the subconscious finally says, okay, I got a pattern. I got the pattern. And that pattern then becomes the habit. Negative thinking is equally powerful, but works in the opposite direction. Meaning, with positive thinking, you could heal yourself of any disease. With negative thinking, you can die and create any disease. You can create your own death just because you believe you're going to die. And all of a sudden I say, well, then it's the power of belief, positive or negative, that is shaping the world. And I go,
Well, this is why when we look at people's beliefs and they do an assessment of, they find out over 60% of the beliefs that we're manifesting every day are negative and disempowering, self-sabotaging thoughts that we've acquired, such as, I'm a victim of my genes. That's a belief. And somebody says, yeah, well, I'm going to die of cancer because it's running in my family, and they get cancer, and then they find out there's no gene that causes cancer. I'm saying this on Lynn's show. I will have to emphasize that there is not one gene that if you have this gene, you have cancer. Genes are correlated with cancer. Genes are not causing cancer. This is why half the women that have the breast cancer gene, BRCA2, half the women never get the cancer, but they all possess the gene. So where's the point? They said the gene didn't cause it. It was a lifestyle that was not in harmony that ultimately activated what is called a cancer gene. I said, so what do you mean? So if you change your thoughts, you can get rid of cancer? I go, yeah, well, that's what spontaneous remission is all about. And so I'm stepping on Lynn's field here because this is where this emanation of thought, and we don't see it, and we don't, in our history, that's just thoughts and feelings. I go, those are the controls that are manifesting your life, your thoughts and your feelings. Your feelings are the translation of the energy into sensation. So your feelings are like a compass. They're telling you whether you're going toward more life or to less life. The most important aspect about sleep is that it gives a chance for the body to recalibrate its system. So when consciousness is out, then the body starts to balance everything that's going on, with each system, the body's pH, the temperature regulation. Very interesting point that when people are comatose and they're in a hospital and they got all the wires on them and everything, they run at a beautiful, just beautiful, like idling speed. They're comatose, but their body has maintained a balance and harmony, and everything is great in the body level. But as soon as they become awake, then the parameters in the body all start to change, because it's our consciousness that is creating the functions of our body. And it's really important for people to understand this, is that quantum physics is the most valid science on this planet in regard to its theoretical insights. And the number one principle in quantum physics is consciousness is creating our life experience. That's the most important understanding, because it says we're not just a machine, but we're like a remote control machine. There's an energy field that is being picked up by each of us that is different. The field that's being received is different for each person.
What is the immune system? Well, generally it's something that protects me. From what? From things that get inside your body. And I said, well, why should things want to get inside my body in the first place? Let's just set up a scenario. You're out there in the world, and I drop you off in the wilderness, and I say, okay, survive. And one of the things you have to do is start finding food. And you're going to spend all your time, maybe find nothing, and you're going to be looking for food. And here's an alternative vision. I drop you out on an eat-all-you-can buffet. Well, you don't have to worry about food. It's being served to you all the time. What does this have to do with the immune system? And I go like this. Bacteria, parasites that live out in the environment have to struggle for their survival to find food. But underneath your skin, the tissues inside your body are flush with fluid from the blood. And in that fluid are all the nutrients and elements necessary for growth. So if a bacteria could find itself inside to your body, it would be sitting pretty. All it'd have to do is just sit there, and food would be constantly delivered from an individual's circulatory system. So the idea is, well, yeah, then obviously this is a nice environment that invasive organisms would like to find themselves in, because it's like free food. Well, no probs. So, okay, so what does this mean? It says, well, then we have to have a defense system. Because if invasive organisms get in there, not only will they utilize the food we make, but they could create a toxic waste environment that could actually undermine our health. So we can't afford to have invasive organisms come into us and take over. And the immune system's job is an internal protection system, as opposed to, for example, the adrenal system, fight or flight, which protects you from threats on the outside. Immune system protects you from threats on the inside. So I said, well, how does it work? Well, the immune system is an intelligent system. Because what is the function of the immune system? To go out into the world of their body and look for things that are new, that came in, and then not only recognize them, but learn about them so that they could create antibodies, for example, to effectively knock them out. So the immune system's character is learning and memory. I go, wow, what a coincidence. This is the character of the nervous system. Point. The immune system is an extension of the nervous system, learning and memory about the environment in which you live. So I said, well, how does it work? Well, I say that there are organisms that prefer to find the interior of our body as a place to live because it's so much easier for them just to sit there and live off of your energy and your nourishment. So the old story is, the immune system protects self, my body, against invading organisms as everything else is called not self. Well, I go, that's a crude insight, but it's not anywhere near accurate for a simple reason. The immune system identifies things that get into the body that cause disruption of the system. And its job is to identify them, mark them, and eliminate them. And I go, but there are many organisms that live with us that are part of us. It's called the microbiome. Thousands of species of organisms, bacteria and parasites living with us. I say, the immune system doesn't attack them. The reason is this. They support our viability. They support who we are. So self versus not self, that's not the discriminating factor of the immune system. Factor of the immune system is anything that's disruptive to the system. Well, guess what? That not only includes organisms that come in from the outside, but even our own cells, if they go rogue, like go into a cancer state, the immune system's job is to eliminate them. So basically, the function of the immune system is to keep harmony in the system. Any organism that comes in that disrupts harmony, function of the immune system, eliminate it.
Energy psychology is a new version of psychology that engages something called super learning. Super learning, what's that? I go, maybe you've seen somebody read a book by moving their finger down the page. Mm-hmm. Just as fast as they move that finger down the page, they read everything on both, on the page, on both pages. Boom, they could just read it. So the idea is this, well, if you can engage super learning and use that in downloading a new behavior, you ready? You can change a belief you had your whole life, 50, 60 years. You can change that in minutes. Because super learning is the equivalent of pushing the record button on the subconscious. Super learning allows you to download a new program in minutes. And we need that. Why? Because the behavior that the culture and civilization using today is so out of harmony with nature that humans are causing their own extinction at this moment. It's called a mass extinction. NASA scientists have already told us that industrial civilization, the one we're in, is facing, and I want to emphasize this because it was in the title of their report, and I said, we are facing an irreversible collapse of civilization in the next couple of decades. Well, we're seeing it right now. Civilization is not working. The chaos that's all over the planet is a sign that it does not work this way. And if we don't change, then we're facing our own extinction.
What do you mean by being able to change inner evolution? Because we all really do believe that genes are destiny.
Well, the biggest story comes down to knowledge is power. And everyone goes, yeah, we all know knowledge is power. But let me put it in a better way for us now. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. And a misperception, by definition, is a lack of knowledge. And now I have to say, we have been for the last 50 years operating under two very important misperceptions. A, the one you brought up, genes control our life. This is totally false. And the second one is actually the idea of a Newtonian universe that's split into physical matter and invisible energy in two different realms, and they don't communicate, and whatever's physical should be, interfered with by something that's physical. So that's why we have pharmaceutical drugs. We have a physical body. You want to fix it, you have to give it something physical. So those are the drugs. And that's an outdated and disempowering illusion, because it turns out it's energy and consciousness that shape the world. And let me just emphasize it so it's not so weird sounding. It's consciousness. Our mind is creating this. Well, quantum physics is, to me, the most valid science on the planet. Even before it was fully understood, the theoretical ideas that were presented have all been actually realized that this is such an amazing science, quantum physics. And I say, so what's relevant about this valid science? I go, the first principle in quantum physics is consciousness is creating our life experiences. And, that's so new age. I go, no, that's about as hardcore science as there is. And, this consciousness, and this is why I love working with you, Lynn, because your job has been raising consciousness around the world. And that is how we're going to evolve, is not physically evolve, but we're going to evolve with consciousness. And so, the knowledge that you're providing for people is empowering. And I like to do the same. Stress hormones shut off the immune system. Okay, so that's two problems right away. Growth maintenance, shut off by blood vessels squeezing shut. Immune system, stress hormones directly inhibit the immune system, so I'm not putting energy into internal problem when I'm being chased. And then I always call the third one the insult to the injury. You just injured your body. Now you will know what the insult is? I told you the stress hormones in the gut squeeze shut when you're in fear. That's butterflies in the stomach. You can feel it. It's just queasy. And I go, what else? The stress hormones shut the blood vessels off in the thinking brain back right here, the prefrontal cortex. And when the blood is squeezed, the blood vessels are squeezed shut here, the blood is pushed to the hindbrain. That's where reflexes occur and reactions occur. No thinking. So guess what? Under stress, you shut down thinking, and now you're just reacting. And I go, so you lost the power of your consciousness. It's not working. The subconscious mind is 1 million times more powerful and works 95% of the time versus the small conscious mind working 5%. I said, that's the one that's stressed. That's the one that's struggling. It says, I want something and I'm not getting it, and I'm going to make it. And I go, you're trying to change the world when your own behavior was the one that was sabotaging it. And that's because you didn't see your programs. And like Bill, you engage these programs and you don't even know you have these programs. But then, as I said, well, if you want to see your programs, your life, 95% coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your programs. The things you like, as I said, they came in because you have a program to acknowledge them. But if you understand the things you struggle over are not because the outside is preventing you from getting there, it was your own invisible 95% of the day playing programs you didn't even know you had. And that's where the sabotage comes from. And yet we want to blame and fix everybody on the outside and think that we're just the recipients of all this without recognizing we're the creator of all this. And that sounds like, oh, so new agey. And I go, listen, quantum physics is the most valid science on this planet. And principle number one, quantum physics, consciousness is creating our life experiences. You want to change your life? You don't change the world. You change your own consciousness. The world changes after that.
Whatever you're waiting for, be it peace of mind, contentment, health, it will surely come, but only when you're ready to receive it with openness and gratitude. Of all the characteristics needed for both a happy and morally decent life, none surpasses gratitude. Happiness and health are the just rewards for living in gratitude. Wow, I remember the first time I read that. I doubted that gratitude could give me health and happiness, but now I know differently. Igor, how sweet of you to remember my birthday. Listen, let me blow out the candles, make a wish, and then we'll have a party later. Ah, yes, another year would be wonderful. Ah. Well, you know what? That whole story that Ben Franklin told us about gratitude and health, well, it actually works. And now scientifically we know why. Because built into every one of our cells is the fountain of youth. What's the fountain of youth in the cell? Well, it's something called telomeres. Telomeres, they are special parts of the DNA. So when you open up the nucleus of the cell, the chromosomes come out, and there are 46 chromosomes, 23 from your mother and 23 from your father. But what is a chromosome? Well, what it is a sleeve of protein wrapped around a double helix of DNA. And the significance about this is the telomeres, as you can see in this picture of an X and Y chromosome, stained red are the telomeres at the ends of the chromosome. They're the ends of the DNA are. I say, so what is the telomere? It's extensions of DNA after the genes, meaning it's a part of the DNA that doesn't program anything. It's just extended DNA. Happiness and gratitude. Now that's the big one. Happiness and gratitude means you love your life so much that you want more. So unconsciously, you will activate the enzyme to increase and enhance your life. This is also associated with a positive outlook, because if you have a positive outlook, that means you're looking toward a future. And again, feedback says then we're going to have to activate this enzyme to have that future. And the last two aspects that enhance the enzyme and give you long life are very important, and that is, again, having that self-love, appreciating yourself, which means I'm enjoying and appreciating my life experience. And when you're in love, that, of course, drives you to stay around even longer, and that will activate the enzyme. And lastly, and most importantly, is being in service, meaning you have something to do. And what the feedback of the system is says, I can't end now, I have to be here longer, I have something to do. And so being in service is one of the most important things to extend your telomeres and keep you around. And in conclusion, the information about telomeres and telomerase is very important because they represent the equivalent of a fountain of youth in every cell. And between your mind and your cells, the biology of belief reveals how your consciousness and your thoughts can extend your telomeres by activating telomerase when you appreciate life, when you have gratitude, and when you're looking for love and happiness on the planet, you can extend your life. So interesting, you're very powerful to change your life and make it one of happiness, joy, and health for a long, long time.
In the year 2018, astronaut Dr. Bruce Lipton set out on a voyage to save humanity upon the assumption that Earth was dying and humankind needed a new home. However, just prior to launch, new studies emerged from Chernobyl. The once devastated landscape has regrown, nature has returned. Unfortunately, something went terribly wrong, and Dr. Bruce Lipton was sent into outer space. Many problems occurred, and Dr. Bruce Lipton became lost in the vastness of space. This is his journey. After 20 long years being lost in space, Bruce Lipton is finally coming home.
Oh, wow, what a welcoming sight. Look at that beautiful blue-green gem floating in the darkness of space. I'm going home. It's going to be great. Now, if I could just get this ready for re-entry. Mission Control, astronaut Bruce Lipton, coming back home from the outer limits with our beautiful rocket ship. Please come in. I guess, well, maybe they're just busy right now, but well, I've got such a great story to tell them when I get back. Oh, fresh air, man, being in that little can for 20 years out there, it's so wonderful. Oh, it's beautiful. It is beautiful here. God, just think of it, how much time I spent out there in open space looking for another place for us to live, another planet, and I come back here and look at this. It is so beautiful. I didn't ever have to leave. Gosh, when I left here, this whole place seemed to be falling down. Man, the environment was collapsing all around us. The rainforests were being cut down. People were destroying the air, the water, the land. Look at it now. Wow, these people have really created something new. Created something new. Well, that's not an accident. A creation is a participation. At that time when I left and the world looked like it was on its last stages, something happened. People must have learned how to change the world, but in order to do that, they first really had to learn how to change themselves. You really have to understand at some level, if we're going to create a garden like this, and somewhere along the line, we have to create the own garden in our own consciousness first. And that's where we start to come from reality. Humans have imagination. They can imagine a garden, but then humans have the ability to manifest. Recognize this, you have 50 trillion citizen cells living under your skin, a community that lives in harmony. If we really want to understand how to live in harmony, well, look within. That's where the answers are. How can 50 trillion cells provide for a happy, healthy human being? Because they understood the nature of community. It's a fractal universe, and fractal universe simply means this: a structure, geometry of the universe that represents as above, so below. Meaning, if you understand the structure at any level, you can understand it at any other level. And so if we really want to understand how to create this beautiful planet, then we have to recognize this. How did the cells do it in our body? Because 50 trillion of them came together in a community and learned to live in harmony and provide for their environment. But then if we understand how the cells did it, then we can understand how the people can do it, because we have to use the same principles that's fractal to change the planet and make it the garden that it has become right now. But then, of course, you can't get there if you don't know where you're going. So before we even embark on the trail, we must first visualize in our consciousness, what is it we're seeking? What are we trying to manifest? Where are we going? And once we get that picture in our mind, then we can become the artist to manifest that picture in the real world situation. And just by the looks of this garden, we obviously must have learned our lesson. And of course, where are these people? Where are these people? Hello? Hello? Hello?
You maniacs! You finally did it! You blew it up! Damn you all to hell!
The movie The Matrix, everyone thinks science fiction. I go, no, that's a documentary. Everybody got programmed. That's a fact. That's a biological reality. Right. But what was interesting, they always say, well, there's a red pill, and if you take the red pill, you get out of the program. And I go, guess what? Almost everybody in our audience has taken that red pill at one time, changed their life.
Yes.
When was that? It turns out science has recognized that when you fall in love, you stop playing the programs and you start creating from your conscious mind. And wishes and desires are conscious mind. And so once you let go of the program and you start creating wishes and desires, it's called the honeymoon.
Yes.
You created this heaven on earth experience. And I go, and here's the inside story that Michael's been telling you for years, but I can now tell you, you could have that every day for every day of your whole life.
Yes.
Because we created that. And if you understand you created it, then you can say, well, why didn't I create it tomorrow? And I go, you can create it every day. That's the beautiful part. 95% of our behavior is coming from below consciousness. And we're the ones that can't see it when we play it, but everybody else, of course, is seeing exactly what we're doing. So the whole idea is, are you living the life you want, or are you living the life you've been programmed? And the answer, unfortunately, is most of us are living the life we've been programmed, and the programming comes from other people. So it's not our lives. The reason, let's give a reason why programming occurs, okay? The brain is a computer. Most powerful computer that humans have ever experienced. But it has parallels to computers. And number one is this. In the old days, when you would buy a computer before they put the programs in, you could bring it home, brand new computer, plug it in, push start, boots up, screen's on, and I say, do something. And people, well, no, I can't do anything. So you got a brand new computer. No. First, you have to put programs into a computer before you can use that computer. The brain of a human is the same thing. The screen lights up in the last trimester of pregnancy. It's ready, but there are no programs. So the first 7 years of a child's life is the brain is not operating at the higher level of consciousness, higher level, higher vibration. That's what we talk about. We put wires on a person's head, electroencephalograph, read brain function. A child up through 7 is not operating at consciousness except for a little bit. It's primarily operating at a lower vibration called theta. And I say, well, what is theta? I say, it's expressed as imagination. So that's how children can have a tea party and they pour nothing into the cup and then they drink the nothing and then they explain how that was the best tea they ever had. Or a child rides a broom saying it's a horse. in the child's mind, that is not a broom, it's a horse, but it's mixing imagination and reality. But theta is hypnosis. And the significance of that is children have to learn how to become a member of a family, the rules, member of a community, the rules. I go, how can an infant, a young kid, learn these rules? They can't go to school, they can't read the book and all that. And I say, you don't have to. Nature provided theta hypnosis so that they can observe the parents, the family, and the community. Just observe their behavior and download those as programs. Age 7, then that's when they start to become more conscious and engaging themselves. First 7 years is programming. But after age 7, 95% of your life is coming from that program. So if you can program the child for the first 7 years, then the rest of the life of that child is actually an expression of that program. I was given an opportunity to go to San Francisco and have a big presentation at a big conference on energy and crystals and stuff like that. And I thought, well, there's going to be an audience there. Energy and crystals, like, okay, everything I'm talking about in biology. Man, I was so excited. And I thought, this is my great opportunity. And it was like 3 months before, and I thought, okay, I'm going to work on this. And then I just let it go. I let it go, and now it's getting to a month before. And I said, I got to work on what's my seminar going to be? What's my seminar? And all I had in my head was, okay, this was a new agey kind of thing. So I thought, well, back then, what the heck was new agey? I said, that's where they wear all white shirts and white pants and a white vest, white clothes, and that they're so delicate and they speak in a very quiet tone and they're so new agey. And that really wasn't me. I was like the bull in the china shop, it's like, hey, let me out. And it goes, no, I got to calm down. I got to be cool. I'm going to present this in a new age fashion. So I tried to formulate a new age me to present this. Well, now it's about a week before this conference, and it's like my new age me has not come up with any idea of how to present this. And then it started to get closer, and it was just a few days away. I'm going to go to San Francisco. I was like, oh my God, I don't have a talk. And I just said, forget it. Let me just be me. I just want to talk the way I want to talk. I'm not going to conform to be some new age guru. That's not me. I'm a science guy, and I'm going to say what I want to say. And finally, in that moment, it was just a couple of days before, and all of a sudden I said, that's it. No more new age. Let's write this. And the moment I let go of some persona I was supposed to be and just said, nah, I'm just going to be me. All of a sudden, the words started coming out. I can remember I grabbed a yellow pad and I had a pen, and the words started coming so fast. As soon as I said, stop being New Age guy, start being Bruce, the words started coming page after page. I was right. I had 4 or 5 pages of notes. Like, after all those months, it was sort of like, okay, it was a little constipated in my consciousness, but it all of a sudden freed up. And it's why I am not them. I'm me. And try to act like somebody else took away everything I was. And that was at the point that said, oh my God, I'm not going to alter who I am. I love this research. I'm not going to tailor it for that audience. And it was so wonderful because there were 3 months where it was just logging back in my head. Yeah, I got to do this. I got to do this. Like, didn't want to do it. Why? Because at some level, the first thing was, I'm going to be somebody else. I'm going to be Mr. New Age guy. The moment I let go of being somebody else and became me, then all the words came down. A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. Mm-hmm. And I say, you're suffering out here because you feel you have no power. And if you really understand the biology that we're talking about and the spirituality that you're talking about, and you start to recognize it, you recognize, oh my God, you are so powerful, and yet you have a belief of victim. And since belief controls it, no matter how powerful you are, if your belief is you're a victim, then you are a victim. And we have been victimized by beliefs that are incorrect. And if we adjust the science, it automatically then comes right together with the whole spiritual message that Agape and my brother Reverend here have been providing for years. But there's a scientific context to it, because a lot of people go, well, this is scientific. I go, Yes, it is.
I mean, what are those flawed beliefs that we've been living under all these years?
Well, there are 4 of them, and 2 of them are actually part of Darwinian theory, which I'll mention. But the first one that's really important is people have been programmed the belief that the genes they inherited at conception are programming the rest of their life. The genes, we didn't select them as far as we know. If you don't like the characteristics, you can't change these genes. And then we add on top of that, we say, and the genes turn on and off by themselves. And all of a sudden you start to realize then I'm not running my life. The genes are running my life. Oh my God, there's cancer in the family and their genes are going, I'm going to get a cancer gene. And I say, what's the belief? You already got the belief. I'm going to get cancer. I go, this is trouble right there.
Right.
Just a little sidebar, because I love this sidebar. There's not one gene that causes cancer. Cancer is not caused by a gene. Cancer is caused by disharmony in your life. Unresolved anger is the biggest one. Feeling lost, left out, not part of something is another one that separates you. And I want people to understand that, because so many people say, oh, I've got this cancer and the gene doesn't, and I'm just a victim back here and the genes took this and genes made this. And I go, stop. You are co-creating with those genes. The gene does not turn on and off, and the gene does not control things. The gene responds to the environment. And if your perception of the environment is not in harmony and support of your life, that disharmony is what can activate a gene. A gene is a blueprint, just like in an architect's office. And I say, you go into an architect office and she's working on a blueprint. You ask her and you say, hey, is your blueprint on or off? And she'd look at you like, what, are you crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. I go, yes. DNA is a blueprint to make the proteins of the body. It cannot turn itself on and off. You need an architect. Consciousness, mind is architect.
Right.
That turns the genes on and can modify the readout of the genes. Consciousness is controlling your genetic activity. When people follow the fate of a child adopted into a family where there's cancer, they find that the adopted child will get the same family cancer at the same probability as any of the natural siblings. So an adopted child gets that cancer. But here's the point. The adopted child came from totally different genetics. So it was not the genetics that pushed that cancer. It was being adopted into a family where the programming was not giving them wholeness, health, happiness. It's just stressful, very stressful programming. And as you said, stress. American Psychological Association recognizes 90% of doctor visits are stress-related visits. And we don't focus on the stress that's like, oh, a side thing. I say, no, it's not a side thing. It's the number one thing that is coming from the top down. And the genes are blueprints to make the proteins of the body, 100,000 different proteins, like building blocks, okay? Proteins are complex molecules, and they wear out. Proteins wear out all the time. So you have to replace them. I said, well, how do you replace this complex molecule? And the answer is DNA is a blueprint to make a protein. I go, so what? And I go, well, you go into an architect's office and she's working on a blueprint. And I say, well, ask her, is your blueprint on or off? And she would look at it and go, what are you talking about? It's a blueprint. It's so on and off. I go, precisely. Genes cannot turn themselves on and off. They don't self-actualize. They're controlled by environmental signals. And all of a sudden, oh my God, well, if the environment is controlling this, then your programming in the environment, your lifestyle in the environment, and all these other things now become the primary controlling factor of your genes, not the genes. And we have to let go, because when I was programming the doctors that, oh, genes turn on and off and all that stuff, I was programming that people are victims. Because, as I said, as far as you know, you didn't pick the genes, you can't change them. They operate by themselves. And so we were programming victim. And then it turns out the new science of epigenetics is not victim. You're the one that's actually controlling it with your behavior. If my thoughts are distorted because of animal soul, when I broadcast these thoughts, I'm not activating what I want. I'm activating what the program wants. And I started to realize that because the magnetic field, as you said, is shaping our experiences in this world at this point. And that's what you can read with magnetoencephalograph, you're reading these fields, which are your thoughts. And then I started to realize when the field is mainly run by the animal soul, I'm not controlling that. That was the automatic program. That's a program. That's not me. That's program. And I realized I could observe me doing the program, but there's a point, like you recognize, there's a point to say, wait a minute, I'm the controller. I don't want that program. I want to use my human soul to run the show. And as you said, same thing. Once you start coming from the human soul, you override the animal soul. And that's when you become the creator. And because of our creation, not only is information coming in, but as the magnetoencephalograph shows, the information going out. And I say, it affects the world we're living in. Okay, that's the experience you have now. But it also goes back to the original spirit. And this is the karma part where my life experience has distorted my spiritual broadcast. And I say, well, how do I get back? And I say, it's very simple. You just have to know who you are. And this is what you said, and it's true. Most people have no idea who they are. They think they're this physical body. And I said, that's what I used to think when I was conventional science. But once I understood the physics and the role of energy and consciousness and spirit, the game changed for me. I said, wait a minute, I don't want to be animal soul. I want to be Bruce's soul. I want Bruce's to create this, not the program from mother and father and culture. I don't want that one. I want one. And like you, I started to recognize, well, wait, I can change. I want to take the control now. I want to put my hands back on the steering wheel. I want to drive this. I don't want the program to drive this. You know, the cell phone that you have in your hand, yeah, you can drive it by talking into it, but it also can work by itself because it's got program. And I think that you and I have this information that we've been trying to present to the world to say, take back the control because you're more than this body.
Well, I could live in a perfectly healthy, happy environment that will support me. But if I perceive it's a negative environment, then my cells inside my body do not know that it is a healthy environment. They only see the perception that I send to them. And this is why perception becomes so important, is because the cells are not directly touching the environment and depend on the nervous system's interpretation to adjust their biology. So if I change my perception, my mind, change my belief about life, I change the signals that are going in and adjusting the function of the cell. The point is very, very significant, and that is this. I'm not a victim of my genes because I, by my ability to change my environment and by my ability to change my perception of the environment, have the ability to control my genetic activity. I'm not a victim of my heredity. I'm a master of my genetic activity. Well, how do you change a program? That was the issue. Not how you change the conscious mind, how do you change the subconscious mind? Because it doesn't learn. Conscious mind learns by just whatever you read the book, I learned it, okay? Subconscious mind doesn't learn that way. I say, how does it learn? I say, well, in the first 7 years, that's when I said the programming went in. The brain wasn't functioning at the higher level of consciousness. It was actually a little lower. That was called theta, the vibration, the imagination and all that. That's hypnosis. Okay, so the first way we learned programs was hypnosis because the function of the brain was at a low lower vibration. Some people might remember the old days when hypnotherapy they'd have a watch and the hypnotherapist said swing the watch back and forth and they would say you're getting tired, and what was the point? When you get tired, you lower the vibration of the brain. And the moment you fall asleep, actually, consciously, the next level of activity of the brain is theta before it goes down to the lowest vibration, delta, sleep. So every night when you go to bed, there's a period just after you close your eyes and you're essentially disconnected for a moment, your brain is operating in theta. Well, theta is hypnosis.
Okay. So I said, well, that's how your brain was in theta during that childhood period as predominantly. Now you're an adult. I said, yeah, but you have theta every night when you go to bed. So I said, what can you do? And this is the old story. You've heard people do it. You put a pair of earphones on at night. You play a program that you want to be true in your life. And while you're awake, you might hear the program, but it's the moment you fall asleep, the conscious mind shut off, but the subconscious mind is now in record theta. So whatever is coming through the earphones at that moment after you fall asleep, you don't hear it, but the subconscious mind is hearing it and downloading it in a state of theta. So the first way of changing a belief system is to get into theta. And this is called self-hypnosis. Put the earphones on, play the programs for health, happiness, love, joy, whatever, and just go to sleep, which is really cool because you don't have there's no studying here. You just play the program. Yeah. I think this is one of the best things that we both can do right now is to help people recognize how truly powerful they are, even though they've been programmed to think, I'm a victim. I say, no, you're not. And there's a science behind it. And that's why I love talking with you, because there's the spiritual part, which I never was spiritual for 40 years. I was a science guy, genes, chromosomes, blah, blah, blah. And then in the study of the cells taught me that we're not even in here. We're a broadcast playing through here. And when you understand why, which blew my mind, because, hey, I wasn't spiritual. And all of a sudden I said, oh my goodness, the cells have little antennas on them, and each of us has a different set of these antennas, which are receiving a broadcast.
Yes.
In physics, you might say the word field, which is, let me define it, invisible moving forces that influence the physical world. And I go, same definition for spirit, invisible moving forces influence the physical world. And I said, oh my God, quantum physics has revealed to us that we're this energy spirit, and we come in and play through the body, and each of our bodies have a different sets of antennas, so no two people get the same station. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, after 40 some years of not even believing in it, in 2 minutes, I turn around and go, of course, everything is spiritual now. But the meaning of it for me, Michael, was so great, because you know what happened? Fear.
Yeah, you had a kind of an instantaneous epiphany. It just changed your life.
The lightning hit me.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, within seconds, I lost fear. Because
I understand that.
Because the greatest fear people have is death.
Yes.
What if you don't die? Because the field is always here, whether the body, which I call the television set, you're watching the Bruce show on the television set here, but the Bruce show is a broadcast being picked up and played through the show. And I realized you can't die. You're not even in here.
Right.
We're the energy around here. But then, being an inquisitive scientist, I remember, I'll never forget it. I sat there just like, oh my God, there's a spirit and there's a body and a spirit. And my science mind said, why not just be a spirit? Why have a body? And then I found out I had what I refer to as Jewish comedian cells. Because I asked a question, why have both a body and a spirit? And the cells answered with a question that came right up in my head. And the answer is like, it's so profound and so funny. I said, why have a spirit and a body? And the cell said, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? Now you have to take that one in for a little bit and realize something, is that this body translates energy environments into pictures and sounds and smells and feelings and all these things. And I go, oh my God, we came here to experience life. Well, the other day I was going through my toy box, and guess what I found? Something I hadn't seen for a long, long time, my wonderful, wonderful Etch-a-Sketch. Now, many of you may have had this when you were young as well, but I really loved it. You know why? It gave you an opportunity to make a drawing on this screen by turning these dials down here. And then after you complete the drawing, you can then shake it up, and the drawing will disappear, and you can make another drawing. So it was like a reusable pen and paper. Just shake it and make a new one. So here, let's take a look at how you do it. And I'll try it. It's been a long time since I've done it, but let me work at it. Here's how it works.
So, well, you can see I'm a little out of practice on it, but here's the beautiful part. Here's a drawing that I just made, and I created this image and then manifested it on the screen of the Etch-a-Sketch. So what's really interesting is what I can do is now shake up this screen and erase the image, and then I can create another one. Perhaps this one is going to be a little better than the last one. Let's see what I can do this time. Well, what a great picture, but what we can do is just shake it up. What the hell is going on behind me? Oh my God, the world is collapsing. So why is this relevant? Because there's a lot we can learn about evolution through an Etch-a-Sketch. Wow, what we're experiencing right now is a process called evolution. Well, it's not the evolution we learned in school, the Darwin version. That's the kind of evolution that says evolution has gradual changes over billions of years, imperceptible, but over a long time, you see an outcome that's different. In contrast to the old version of evolution, the gradualism version, there's a new understanding of evolution called punctuated equilibrium. This is a theory that was devised by Stephen Jay Gould and Niles Eldredge. And what did they recognize is that when looking for fossils, there were different layers where fossils of animals that no longer exist. And then there's like a space, and then there's another layer with fossils of animals that no longer exist. And then another space. And they said, well, there's something going on. There's a development, a punctuation, another development, and a punctuation. The punctuations are natural events that destroyed the nature and the web of life at that time. And in fact, the last one of these mass extinctions is attributed to a giant comet that hit near the Yucatan Peninsula and upended the web of life. And at that last extinction, 66 million years ago, remember, before the comet hit, the planet was filled with lush tropical forests and dinosaurs. After the comet hit, they don't exist anymore. The strata that we see in the fossils is really the same story as we see in the Etch-a-Sketch. The strata means that something happened, there was a picture, then the picture changed, and a new picture formed on the next strata. And then that picture changed. The understanding about the nature of the Etch-a-Sketch and what's actually going on in our world right now are really the same story. We've created an image, it's not sustainable, and the Etch-a-Sketch is shaking, but the planet is shaking. The planet is telling us that civilization you have created is no longer sustainable, and it's time for us to create a more thrivable situation for us to move into the future. There's an old saying, there's no such thing as a new story. Well, in fact, interesting point, we can go back 1,000 years and start to recognize that the Buddhists were telling us the same story in a different fashion. They were making what are called sand mandalas. And these are very ornate creations from different sands. Instead of paint, different sand, creating a structure and then making this most beautiful structure. And they also recognize, just like the universe is, things don't always stay the same. So after they create this most beautiful expression, then they take all the sand and scoop it all together, make a big pile, and start all over again for another image. Just as in the story with the mandala, and the same story in the Etch-a-Sketch, and the same story that we're experiencing on this planet right now, there's a very important point that says that we can move into the future, but take with us what we learned from the past to build a better future, to thrive into that future. And this is where we are right now. Shaking it up so that civilization come together in a new version with love, harmony, and peace. While we're in this state of chaos, it's a very important point about you, the observer of what I've just been talking about. I go, why is this important? Because you represent cultural creatives. You are the people that are looking for answers to how to get into the future from the destruction we're facing right now. And the answers are not in the box. So just by even watching what we're talking about right here is the idea to give you the insight of how powerful you are in creating the new future. Your participation is involved in this evolution. This is not a passive event you sit at home and wait for evolution. This is where we go out and manifest evolution. And just like in the story, the Etch-a-Sketch, you can put your hands on the dial and start to create a new image as well. And so collectively, when we all work together, the new image is a new civilization, one that can take us from today into a future. This is the moment of manifesting a new civilization, not just for the people, but for Mother Nature herself. And this is our opportunity to participate in conscious evolution.
You're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger.
I say, you need energy to survive. You have to run. I say, where's the energy going to go? I say, well, energy's in the blood. That's what carries the energy. I say, when the stress hormones come in because the tiger is chasing you, it does several things. It shuts off the blood flow to the gut, the viscera, all the organs, pancreas, stomach, intestines. I go, it shuts off the blood supply. I say, why? I don't need to fix and maintain the body if the tiger is going to catch me. Then that's a waste of my energy. I want all the energy go to my arms and legs to escape. So I say, stress hormones shut off the mechanism of the viscera, the growth and maintenance of the body while you're being chased. I say, what else? And here comes the one that you were bringing up. When we're really sick, you don't have a lot of energy to even get out of bed because the immune system uses a lot of energy to keep you healthy. I go, so I'm being chased by a tiger and I have a bacterial infection. So I'm putting energy into run away. I'm putting energy into the infection. I go, why do you worry about the infection? Because if the tiger catches you, the infection is not a problem anymore. You're done, okay? So this is the point you brought up, and this is the most important point for the audience to understand. Stress hormones shut off the immune system so that the energy can be used to run away from the tiger before being used to fight the bacteria. And this is the most important understanding because stress is the cause of over 90% of illness on this planet. Everyone thinks genes are causing illness. I go, less than 1% of illness is connected to genes. 90% of illness is stress because when you put the stress hormones in, what do? They shut off the maintenance of the body. They shut off the immune system, and they even shut off the intelligence. I go, what do you mean they shut off the intelligence? I say, if the conscious brain, the one up in the front that's connected to you, your person, is a slow processor, like a slow computer. The subconscious is like a super fast computer. If you're being chased by a tiger, it's not the time to think of, I go, no, run! And so the stress hormones shut down the blood vessels in the forebrain, where the consciousness is, pushes the blood with the energy to the hindbrain, where reflexes and reaction, no thinking, because thinking is slow. So I say, so then stress hormones do three things. Number one, they shut off the growth and maintenance of the body. Number two, they shut down the immune system, which protects you from internal problem. And number three, they make you less intelligent. And I go, look at the world today. The stress levels are overriding. As I said, 90% of illness is straight stress, not genetics. It's lifestyle. It's the fear. It's not living in harmony. They don't have enough good music to bring harmony into their world. They're on edge. I go, well, that automatically compromises your health. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genetics. Over 90% of illness on this planet is all due to stress and lifestyle. And I say, why is it relevant? Because if we understood this, then 90% of illness would disappear from this planet essentially instantaneously. So we have to make an understanding of how do they connect with each other, okay? So basically, the understanding is this. Cells have to adjust their biology for an environment. So as the environment changes, cells have to change their biology. And the significance about that, as we mentioned very briefly, is that the genes respond to the chemistry of the blood. I go, why? Because the chemistry of the blood comes from the brain. I go, yeah, but what chemistry comes from the brain? I go, it's based on the picture held in our mind. The brain translates our pictures into complementary chemistry. So, for example, if you open your eyes and you see someone you love, the brain translates love into wonderful, healthy chemistry, dopamine for the great pleasure, oxytocin to bond with your lover, growth hormone, which its function is exactly that. I go, so why is it relevant? I say, well, when people fall in love, they're happy, they're excited, and they're healthy because the chemistry that comes from a picture of love is a chemistry that enhances the vitality of the cells. In contrast, though,
If I open my eyes and I see something that scares me, I say, no love chemistry is coming out of this brain. Fear chemistry comes out. And I go, well, what is fear chemistry related to? And it's simply related to an ancient history. Fear means we were running away from a saber-toothed tiger back in those days. And I go, so what does fear represent? Something is chasing you. Something's interfering with you. Something's threatening. And fear and stress can come about. I'll give you a simple definition of what stress is. Anything that gets in the way of your destination, whatever your destination is, if something gets in the way of that destination, it provokes stress. Okay? And I go, so what's relevant about this? And I say, let's go back and understand what the stress response was all about. And that was originally run away from that saber-toothed tiger. I go, what do you mean run away? I go, well, you want to save your life, you better start running, use arms and legs and start running. And I go, oh, so in a state of fear, you want to use your arms and legs. I go, yeah, you hit them with your pancreas. The lion doesn't care about that. But if you run away, you're going to make it. And I go, so here's the storyline. The arms and legs are what protect you. And I say, and to use them, they need blood, because blood is where energy is. Okay? Now I'm going to give you a statement out of a physiology book and then explain it very simply. And the statement is this: when a person's in stress, the blood is preferentially sent to the arms and legs. Okay, yeah, when I'm in stress, more blood is going to my arms and legs. I say, preferentially? Where was it before? I go, it was in the gut. I say, well, what's the function of the gut? Maintenance of the body, fixing, cleaning, repairing. It takes care of maintenance of the body. I say, so why is it relevant? I said, if you're running from a saber-toothed tiger, maintenance of the body is not necessary at this moment. Escape is necessary, because if you don't escape, then the body is nourishment for a tiger. So the issue about it is this: when stress hormones are released into the system, they cause the blood vessels in the gut to squeeze shut. I go, why is that? Because then it pushes the blood preferentially to the arms and legs. People feel that when those blood vessels are squeezing like this. It's called butterflies in the stomach. They feel a little queasy. I go, what is that? That's the closing of the blood vessels shunting the blood off. You can feel it. Okay. So I say, oh, so being chased by a tiger, I shut down the growth and maintenance of my body to use the energy to run away from the tiger. Okay. Number two, the immune system uses tremendous amount of energy. I go, what do you mean? I said, well, if you've ever really been sick, you didn't even have the energy to get out of bed. Okay. So if the immune system is really engaged, you're using a lot of energy. And I go, well, the immune system is protecting me from an internal threat, bacterial infection. Okay. So now I give you this scenario. You're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger and you have a bacterial infection. How would you split the energy between repairing the infection or escaping the tiger? I hope everyone understands. The hell with the bacterial infection. Why? If the tiger catches you, the bacteria no longer is your problem at that moment. Yes. So basically, then it says this: when we are under a stress from an outside threat, the stress hormones shut off the immune system to conserve energy to escape the threat. And I go, wow, what does that mean? I said, well, it doesn't. You don't activate the immune system because you need all the energy to run away. And I go, well, this is very critical for a very important reason. And I say, well, why is it critical? And I say, well, you shut down the immune system. And as a matter of fact, it's the stress hormones are so effective at shutting down the immune system that when a person is going to receive an organ transplant, heart, lungs, or whatever, they give the recipient of those organs stress hormones before the operation. I go, why? Because it prevents the immune system from rejecting the foreign organ right away. It inhibits the immune system. So stress hormones are used therapeutically to shut off the immune system. So I say, what's the consequence of this? I say, well, you shut down the growth and maintenance of the body and you shut down the immune system. Yeah, but hey, if you escape the tiger, it's 10 minutes. If you escape in 10 minutes, no more threat. And I go, then what? Oh, you return back into growth again. Okay. So I go, so why is this relevant? I say, well, that was a long time ago when the only stress was the damn tiger. But today, people have stress 24/7, 365, stress every day, and it's dripping stress hormones into them. I say, well, what's it doing? I say, well, a couple of things I just mentioned. It's interfering with the growth and maintenance of the body. which has to be maintained. And I said, well, what's the consequence of that? I said, it's a breakdown of the system. So prolonged stress causes a breakdown of the system, okay? Number two, it inhibits the immune system, so you're more open to infections and threats from the outside. So now not only have I weakened myself, now I've made myself more open for infection because the immune system isn't working. And then I want to add the last one, because I call the last one adding the insult to the injury. Well, you just injured yourself. You're not maintaining the body. You're not using the immune system. I go, what else? I go, when you're in a fight or flight situation, thinking is not a good thing. I go, what do you mean? Thinking is slow. It's a very slow process. I go, so what happens? I say, when the stress hormones come into the body, they also squeeze the blood vessels shut in the forebrain consciousness. I said, so why would it do that? I say, because it pushes the blood to the hindbrain where reflex and reactions are taken care of. So let's say you're driving a car and it starts to go out of control. Guess what? You're not thinking. Instantly your consciousness is shut off. You're just reflexively with the wheel and the brakes, the pedals, whatever, no thinking. I go, oh, so then when we're under stress, we are less intelligent. I go, yes. And I go, why is that relevant? Because the fears that are in this world are always compromising us to the extent that the healthcare crisis is global, everywhere, okay? The amount of money you spend on healthcare doesn't mean anything is better. The U.S. spends the most money on healthcare and it's got the worst health statistics of any other country in the progressive West. I go, well, why is that relevant? I say, money didn't make us any healthier. The problem we have is not the immune system. The problem we have is stress. And if you eliminate the stress, then the immune system and everything comes back to order again. And I go, so what's the issue? I say, the healthcare crisis today has virtually nothing to do with genes. 1% of illness, that's probably about the most. 99% obviously is coming from where's illness coming from? And the answer is stress and lifestyle.
When a raindrop hits a pond, the ripples that come off of the raindrop are the shape of water, but the water was shaped by the energy from the rock. So the energy is now visualized, not the ripple itself, it's the shape of the ripple. So we have all these waves. And I go, so what? And I say, well, when you look at a pond and it's raining out, the first thing you notice that all the ripples are converging with each other and they're modifying each other. And that, so basically everything is connected and everything is energy. But the final shape is really dependent on the waves and their patterns when they come together. Some energy comes together and it enhances power. That's called constructive interference. And in human terms, that is good vibes.
Yeah.
Mainly because you're an energy pattern, and if you're in an energy field that is in harmony with you, two energies in harmony come together and they add up so that we get more power. Okay, so there are fields that are really good and you can feel them, good vibes. And as I said, what's good vibes? I feel more power being around you. Not that I'm touching you or anything at that level, because you're radiating energy, I'm radiating energy, but if we're radiating harmonic energy.
Yeah, we're in musical terms, synchrony or harmony.
Harmony.
Right, versus dissonance.
And that's enhancing of power.
Yeah.
But then there's another form of energy, and this other form of energy is, let's say this wave is going up and this wave is going down. When this one's going down, this one's going up. So they're not in harmony, okay? And they're interfering, and it's called destructive interference, which is the opposite of when we just said two harmonies come together. Yeah. They're interfering, but it's called constructive because there's more power. But two energies can come together in a destructive form and cancel out everything. In technology, they have earphones that are called noise canceling.
Yeah.
You got all this noise, you put the earphones on, the noise disappears. I said, where'd the noise go? And the interesting part was the earphones have a microphone. They're recording the sound of the environment, the vibration. And then through the electronics, it plays the sound back, but just out of phase.
So they're not both in harmony now. One is going up and the other's going down. They're just out of phase. But that, when you add up two out of phase waves, that's cancellation.
That's so brilliant.
To make, those kind of earphones, for example, noise canceling it's not you subtracted something from a noise. You added a noise to a noise. You added a vibration to a vibration. So now I say, oh, well, now there's a range. Energies can come together and enhance and multiply and be more powerful, or energies that are not in harmony can come together and cancel each other out. Okay? Constructive interference, destructive interference, but in human terms is constructive interference, good vibes, more power, and destructive interference, bad vibes.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 50 more amazing rules from Bob Proctor, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe. I'll see you there.
Love is the greatest thing. Love what you do. I went to visit Earl Nightingale one time, way back in the 60s. I'll never forget it. And I was leaving. I was so grateful I had an hour of his time. And I said, Earl, what's real?